What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3-Tay Chapter 51 Rock Firehunter, Time World, 4/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, all strength? Hearing the words of the two to go all out, Ulquiorra suddenly tilted his head. Seeing the two of them say that they were going all out, they said it as if the two of them would be able to defeat him by joining forces to deal with him with all their might. Ulquiorra was somewhat amused by the confident gestures of the two of them. You must know that since he was summoned by Davy, his Ryotsu has become stronger again, and this strengthening is continuous, although the rate of improvement is very slow. But Ulquiorra could still feel the process of gradually increasing his strength little by little. What's more, a few days ago, Davy suddenly summoned him to the king's council hall. Then handed him 20 crystal cores. When Ulquiorra knew that these nuclei were called pure soul crystals and what it did, Ulquiorra was surprised and moved and grateful to Davy. Then Ulquiorra used these 20 pure soul crystal cores to successfully enter the peak state of high-level Vasto Lord. And when Ulquiorra fought Pulsalino in the waters of Christie Kingdom, he did not fully display his strength. Even the Thunder Spear didn't dare to throw it out, for fear of affecting Christie Kingdom. Advertisement. But now, in this kingdom thousands of miles away from Christie's kingdom, Ulquiorra will no longer retain suppression. The dark green Ryotsu burst out, Ryotsu soared into the sky, and a terrifying coercion descended. Ryotsu's capacity continued to rise and fall, and the space trembled slightly under the terrifying pressure of Ryotsu. The Ryotsu in the sky is too materialized and condensed into the rain of Ryotsu, which keeps falling from the sky. Every drop of Ryotsu's rain was like 1,000 pounds of iron and lead, and both Pulsalino and Shadow were enveloped in this terrifying Ryotsu. Both of them felt as if their souls were engulfed by a heavy ocean, and their trembling souls caused them to not respond at all at this moment. If Ulquiorra chooses to do it at this time, the heads of the two will definitely be cut off in an instant. Second rank, return to the blade, this is my true strength. Feel the true despair. Ryotsu's power disappeared. Ulquiorra looked at the two people who had been stunned at this time, and said indifferently. Fruit awakens, rock fire hunting god. Without the slightest hesitation, the T-Dolphin, who had regained his senses, immediately gave a loud shout. Countless rock buildings on the ground were smashed, a sea of fire appeared, and the ground instantly turned into a sea of lava fire. And the T-Dolphin himself was integrated into it in the process of changing the environment. Immediately afterwards, a rock flame pig monster more than 10 meters tall broke out of the ground, and the magma flames splashed all over the sky. The fire-hunting god transformed from the T-Dolphin was covered in flames and magma, and the rocks were burnt red, but they were extremely strong. Advertisement. This is the fruit power of the T-Dolphin. The fruit ability is the devil fruit of the Eudemons type, Leon God Dolphin, Volcano plus Eudemons. It is an Eudemons type fruit that controls both flames and rocks. It possesses both the power of flame and the power of rocks. The combination of the two has fused into a powerful Eudemon's ability to create magma volcanoes. It is a demon fruit power with dual abilities. It's an absolute bug-level fruit, but it's only been less than 10 years since T-Dolphin got this devil fruit. But he also awakened the fruit development, which shows that his talent and strength are not bad. And Pulsalino, also at this moment, really exerted his full power. The power of Logia's awakening is to change the phenomenon of nature. I saw that the light for hundreds of miles around was directly darkened by 3 points, and the whole world seemed to be darkened, and it was about to enter the night. The world of time. Pulsalino radiated golden light all over his body, and the whole person directly turned into a golden man. The sparkling fruit awakened by Logia made Pulsalino directly devour the sunlight within 100 miles for 3 points. Melt into his body and become a force under his control. Pulsalino at this moment is a little sun. Damn it, it's the first time I've seen you like this, Kizaru. Advertisement. Seeing the awakening of the fruit of Pulsalino, the whole body of the T-Pig. Ah no, the whole pig face was stunned. Is this still the King Pulsalino? That Pulsalino who knew how to paddle all his life and clocked in to get his salary. He didn't even know that Pulsalino's sparkling fruit could still awaken. Each other, I didn't expect you to have mastered the ability to awaken. Pulsalino was also a little surprised by the change in the T-Dolphin. As far as the strength of the T-Dolphin's fruit ability after awakening is concerned, it is completely competent for the position of Admiral. Unfortunately, this guy's prestige in the army is too low, and he is not liked by many Marines. Are you finished? Then I'll send you on a trip. Ulquiorra spread his palms, the thunder spear condensed into shape, and was clenched in his hands. One way. Hell trip. Chapter 52. Desperate Kizaru. 5/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Next chapter advertisement. The sound moved, and Ulquiorra exploded with extreme speed, and came to the front of the T-Dolphin in an instant. The slender arms stretched out and pressed the fangs of the T-Dolphin. Facing the terrifying speed of Ulquiorra, observation hockey of T-Dolphin only felt a very threatening breath approaching. The next moment, he was caught by Ulquiorra's fangs, and his huge body was thrown away weightless. At the same time, Pulsalino reacted, raising his hand with dozens of laser flashes, covering and bombing Ulquiorra's location. After the fruit awakening, the speed of Pulsalino's glitter fruit has indeed increased a lot, but it has become stronger in the face of Ulquiorra's breakthrough again. In front of him, the speed he showed was still slightly worse, and dozens of laser flashes all crashed down. Ulquiorra's figure has disappeared, appearing above his head, above the sky, and the thunder spear in his hand is suddenly thrown out. Disappear. Thunder gun. Call out. The spear of thunder with a destructive aura was suddenly thrown out, bursting with terrifying power. The speed of light, Yada mirror. Brusalino directly chose to use the speed of light to move and teleport to dodge. He didn't dare to carry this thunder gun attack hard, so it looked very terrifying. Then using the speed of light to move to avoid them, Brusalino used Yada mirror again, but this time, instead of using the pre-movement of Yada mirror, it directly turned into a beam of light and refracted away. Advertisement after sparkling fruit awakened, Pulsalino, incarnated in the form of a little golden man, all skills and tricks do not require any action. The whole thing is a technique, in the field of his fruit awakening, he is the only son. Yada mirror's speed caught up with Ulquiorra's figure, and at this moment, Pulsalino stretched out his hand, and a dazzling light erupted from the palm of his hand. The sun shines on Madara. Boom. A sun emerged from Pulsalino's palm, pushed him forward, caught up with Ulquiorra, and then suddenly exploded. The fall of light. Suddenly, the light in this area dimmed again, and a huge ball of light with a size of hundreds of meters descended. Detonating the ground again, two big moves in a row hit Ulquiorra, and Pulsalino nervously looked at the area he bombed. A terrifying shockwave swept through, and the entire king's capital was almost wiped into ruins during the battle between the two. The thick smoke dissipated, and the figure of Ulquiorra appeared, his left arm and left leg were blown up. But Ulquiorra remained aloof. Well done, Pulsalino. Seeing Ulquiorra's miserable appearance, T-Dolphin couldn't help but shouted with excitement. Forgot what I told you. This monster has the ability of high-speed regeneration. This injury doesn't hurt at all. Advertisement Pulsalino reminded the T-Dolphin with a solemn expression. Damn, after Pulsalino said this, Cha-Dolphin suddenly recalled. The good mood was instantly shattered. This was indeed the case, and in the next second, all the injuries suffered by Ulquiorra were instantly recovered. That is to say, at this moment, the figure of Ulquiorra, who had recovered from his injuries, disappeared directly, and then appeared behind Pulsalino, and punched out. Puff. The powerful blow hit Pulsalino firmly on the back, sending it flying, and slammed into the T-Dolphin mercilessly. Pulsalino, who suffered a heavy blow to his back, couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood, and even his beast form with a T-Dolphin was affected by the terrible power that erupted when Pulsalino hit him. The huge body moved laterally and slipped for several meters, and then he saw a Sero coming right after him. Rockfire eruption. The T-Dolphin was suddenly in a cold sweat, and the huge vitality shook. The pig's trotter stepped on the ground, the surface cracked, and the magma below erupted and spurted up, and the magma was surrounded by a lava wall formed by flames. However, despite being so terrifying, Black Sero still went straight through the wall of magma, and then engulfed the two figures. But it's good, the magma wall cancels out most of the power of Black Sero, otherwise the two of them can be seriously injured directly. This guy, the speed and attack are terrible. Advertisement. After pulling a distance, the T-Dolphin said to Pulsalino. If it goes on like this, it seems that we have no chance of winning against each other. Then go hard. The world of light. After Pulsalino's face changed several times, he made up his mind and shouted enthusiastically and generously. Pulsalino chose to overdraw his body's potential vitality, urging the awakening of fruit to ultimate, plundering all the light within hundreds of miles at this moment. In just an instant, the brightness of the entire King Norbesta Island suddenly increased to the extreme, and the entire island turned into an island shrouded in light. Pulsalino, who had already started to consume his potential vitality, said to the T-Dolphin with a pale face. Go ahead, a decisive battle with your life. After all, Pulsalino's figure appeared as a huge light giant body, and Pulsalino himself was hidden in the center of the giant's chest. God of Light is coming. Chapter 53 Kizaru was pierced. 1/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, burning the earth. Feeling Pulsalino's fighting spirit, the T-Dolphin was refreshed. He roared and roared, the ground shattered, and endless fiery lava swept toward Ulquiorra like a surf. Ulquiorra dodged and disappeared, leaping into the sky. And Pulsalino's incarnation of the God of Light posture is a raised hand, a golden giant palm falling from the sky to cover the top. The force of the wind slammed into Ulquiorra with terrifying power. There are T-Dolphins on the ground and Pulsalino in the sky. The two really joined forces to fight together and exerted unimaginable power. Just as he was chasing the magma flames that shot up to the sky on the ground, and the magma falling from the sky was about to hit him, Ulquiorra shouted loudly, and recondensed a thunder spear in his hand, and then threw it towards the bottom. Nani. Between the electric light and flint, the thunder spear and the magma flame flow rock collided together. The next moment, two terrifying forces erupted, and the blue light wave exploded and spread. A natural disaster explosion sounded like a nuclear explosion, and the whole world shone with dark green and blue light. The dark green light engulfed the magma torrent, and the T-Dolphin let out a painful scream, which was swallowed by the light wave after the thunder gun exploded. At the moment when the thunder spear was thrown, a flash of Wang Shu blasted out from Ulquiorra's palm, ruthlessly penetrated the golden light giant palm, and bombed the body of the God of Light. Advertisement boom. Ulquiorra, who was not at a disadvantage after one hit and two, did not stop attacking, and his figure disappeared again, coming behind the body of the God of Light incarnated by Pulsalino. The palms fit together, Ryatsu compresses and condenses, the thunder spear reappears, and Ulquiorra holds and waves his arms. See. The thunder gun did not have a terrible nuclear explosion, but tore apart the giant's body. The god of light suddenly burst into golden light, and Pulsalino was frightened, and quickly burst into a strong light, and then turned to dodge. Puff! Although Pulsalino's reaction speed was already fast, Ulquiorra cut off a light arm, and even the arm was cut in half. Pulsalino, who was buried deep in the chest of the god of light, was injured, one arm was thrown flying, and blood was sprayed. Chance! Pulsalino endured the severe pain, and with a thought, the severed arm of the giant suddenly burst into golden light. It turned into golden light particles all over the sky, and then enveloped Ulquiorra, suddenly condensed and compressed, turning into a forbidden light ball that imprisoned Ulquiorra. Ulquiorra, die! After fighting for so long, Pulsalino finally got his chance. Although this opportunity came at the expense of an arm, it was worth it if you could kill Ulquiorra. Boom! Imprisoned the light ball, Ulquiorra exploded, and the terrifying power oscillated, blowing all the clouds in the sky away. Advertisement, now, should he be killed? The power of this blow was extraordinary, and Pulsalino thought that with the terrifying power of this move, even if Ulquiorra possessed the high-speed regeneration ability, he should not be able to withstand it. After all, Ulquiorra once said that he couldn't restore organs and brains. In such a dense and narrow space, such a big explosion occurred, and the bones should be blown to pieces. Yes. Suddenly, Ulquiorra's indifferent voice came from Pulsalino's back. Hearing Ulquiorra's voice, Pulsalino's heart skipped a beat, only to hear a pop. Pulsalino slowly lowered his head and looked at the black claws that penetrated his chest from his back. How could you not be injured at all? Pulsalino asked in puzzlement, spitting out blood and turning his head slightly. The explosion just now? Oh, I broke the confinement and left before that. Pulsalino was shocked, his eyes widened in disbelief. This guy escaped before it exploded, and he didn't see Ulquiorra coming out, that is to say, he fled at the moment of the explosion. The severely damaged Pulsalino could no longer maintain the form of the god of light, and the giant god of light collapsed. The body fell forward and fell into the ruins of the palace on the ground. Pulsalino, on the ground below, looking at Pulsalino who had been pierced through his chest, the T-Dolphin looked horrified. Advertisement, he just burst out with unprecedented power, covering his body with the rock fire and magma, and only then took a thunderbolt, but he was also severely injured. Unexpectedly, when he recovered, Brusalino was actually pierced by Ulquiorra right in front of his eyes. The two of them joined forces and awakened the power of the fruit. Even so, they couldn't beat Ulquiorra. Monster. Downright diabolical, dolphin hunter. The T-Dolphin directly changed his posture, from a huge fire magma pig to a pig-headed man covered in armor made of rock fire and magma. Volcano eruption. The speed of the T-Dolphin, the incarnation of the god hunter of the rock fire dolphin, soared, and the flames spewed out of his feet to accelerate, and instantly came to Ulquiorra. The huge mouth of the fangs opened, the magma flames sprayed, and the high temperature even distorted the air. In response to this oncoming attack, Ulquiorra dodged and disappeared, appearing on the side of the T-Dolphin, half-armed black claws stretched out and grabbed his head. He threw him directly, and then appeared in front of the T-Dolphin flying backwards, kicked him down with one kick, and smashed into a mountain. It's over, Marine Admirals. Chapter 54. The T-Pig died. 2/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. It wasted a lot of time because the two Marine Admiral forces joined forces to deal with it. Ulquiorra was getting impatient now, too. The Thunder Spear appeared, aimed at the mountain where the T-Dolphin was, and threw it straight out. And it was at this moment that the T-Dolphin, whose body was smashed with fireworks and magma, had blood-red eyes, and his pupils disappeared, exuding a violent aura. The entire mountain quickly dissolved and turned into magma, and the T-Dolphin, who was beaten to the point of loss of consciousness, ran away. The awakening of the fruit melted the entire mountain and turned into a huge magma pig god roaring, and then ran towards the Thunder Spear. Lava. Annihilation. This is the obsession that Cha-Dolphin maintained before he lost his consciousness. He used all his strength to go berserk. Even if he died, he would destroy Ulquiorra and die with him. Bang bang. The two forces exploded against the waves, and the terrifying forces collided and turned into two-color light waves confrontation. The terrifying power that erupted was unimaginable. The whole island was shaking violently, and even Marine and Christie's army hundreds of miles away could feel the terrifying force. Under the influence of this terrifying force, they all stopped fighting, and all looked in the direction of the royal capital palace at the center of the outbreak. What shocked them was what happened next. The power of these two terrifying energies intertwined and erupted as far more than that, and the entire island collapsed and cracked under the influence of this terrifying force. Advertisement. Inaccurately speaking, it should have been Ulquiorra's last thunderbolt, which was too powerful and hit the center of the island. It caused the crust to rupture, and because the explosion was too powerful, it triggered an earthquake. Under the influence of this series of terror, the island of Norbesta collapsed and was torn apart. The soldiers of the Marine and Christie Kingdom troops also fled, occupying the relatively stable island fragments. Looking at the location of the palace in the distance with a shocked face, I was speechless for a long time, and all were stunned by this terrifying force. In the end, the blue light wave swallowed and annihilated the life-threatening blow of the T-Dolphin. The huge magma pig god collapsed, the T-Dolphin himself appeared, and then it was smashed by the thundergun, and at the center of the explosion, it turned into ashes. Again, I lost. What a monster, the Kingdom of Christie. Marine, can you win? With such a question in mind, Cha Dolphin couldn't help but feel sad for Marine's future. But all this has nothing to do with him, because he has no future. The battle with Marine Admiral Peluzolino, Admiral Reserve Candidate, and Vice Admiral Chato is over. Ulquiorra looked down at the torn island, whose kingdom had long since been annihilated in the fierce battle of the three. Although most of the people fled here long before the war, they took boats or hid in places of refuge to avoid being affected by the war. But many civilians still died in the war. Ulquiorra shook his head wordlessly. He was a calm and ruthless character. Advertisement. Although he hated killing indiscriminately, once such a fierce battle happened, no one would care about it happening. Even Peluzolino and T-Dolphin are. It's just that Ulquiorra has some headaches now and doesn't know how to explain it to Davy. He fought 2 Admiral-level Marines, and he didn't control the burst of power, even though he defeated each other. However, the kingdom where it was located was destroyed by himself, and even the island could not withstand the venting of their power, and it was successfully divided into an archipelago. That's the one thing that troubles Ulquiorra. In a country whose capital was in ruins, the island also crumbled into an archipelago. How could His Majesty the King like such a place? Forget it, it's time to tell the truth. Ulquiorra finally decided to confess, believing that His Majesty the King would not punish himself for this. He knew that Davy wasn't really targeting these kingdoms, but that there was a purpose for them to carry out. Moments later, Ulquiorra lifted the return blade. Then disappeared in place. On a split island plate, half of the ruined harbor remains. The fleet of King Christie's army is docked here, waiting for the arrival of Ulquiorra. The soldiers of the Christie Legion, the Ghost Ninjas and the Virtuals who originally followed to the capital, also returned as early as the war began. Everyone knew that Ulquiorra would launch Sero at every turn, and it would bombard a large area in one fell swoop, and they did not dare to approach or stay. Advertisement. Let's go, there is no need for this kingdom to garrison troops. With a hum, Ulquiorra returned to the deck of the main ship of the Christie Kingdom fleet. Ha, Lord Ulquiorra, yes. Watching Ulquiorra suddenly appear, the commander was almost scared to death. Although I really want to complain, can I not always show up suddenly like this, and then talk to him suddenly? It will scare people to death. But he dared not say it. He can only comfort his heart silently, and then command the fleet to the next kingdom. Out of the corner of his eye, he glanced at the marine fleet in the distance. Ulquiorra had no interest in doing it, but chose to ignore it. Marine, who was not at all threatening, was not worth his effort to eliminate. Even more disdain to fight with such weak humans. But there was one thing that made him a little concerned. Pulsolino's breath of life and soul existence, in his neural exploration perception, actually disappeared. Although the fighting strength is still good, it is obvious that running away is the real strongest aspect of the opponent. Chapter 55 Sengoku's Show of Weakness, Complaint. 3/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. The 4 legions of Christie Kingdom are still continuing their respective journeys, and they are almost finished before completing the number of tasks that Davy explained. As the Do Emperor, Yun Yun is also a top-level combat power in the pirate world. To deal with those kingdoms that only have Vice Admiral combat power, it is completely at the level of random killing. No kingdom can hinder her journey, all worshipped under her pomegranate skirt, conquered by the Christie Kingdom army, ninjas and hollows. And Yami is even simpler, just a mindless beast, pushing horizontally all the way. Anyone who dared to stand in front of him, whether it was a soldier, a cannonball city wall, or a powerful vice admiral, was crushed by him. Brainless, rambunctious, and talking about Yami himself. The last Virgil Admiral army truly achieved a unified army to attack the city and conquer the land, and carried out the army battle mode to the fullest. Ghost ninjas have the power to sneak into the shadows and send them out to assassinate the generals and senior officers guarding the city. Finally, when the other officers and soldiers found it, it was too late, and the 2 Jillians went straight to the city gate to break it open. In the face of monsters like Jillian Manos Grande, ordinary cannonballs didn't work at all. It was like tickling the opponent, and even angered them, becoming more violent and fierce. In the end, after the fierce soldiers of the Chris Legion pushed forward in waves, they broke through the city and went straight to the palace of the capital. Repeatedly reenacting such a mode of advancement quickly conquered country after country. Just when the 4 legions were in full swing, Davy, who completed the task, explained the task. Advertisement. A call from Naval Headquarters woke up Davy, who was enjoying the Ram cream leg pillow. Well, the king, it's Marshal Marine Sengoku's phone. Ram walked over and brought a phone bug with glasses and a goatee from his desk. Tisk. Davy was enjoying Rem's milk-scented leg pillow, but he didn't expect to be interrupted by a phone call from Sengoku, which made him feel a little unhappy. But then he seemed to remember something. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, he smiled and answered the phone. Hey, Davy, what do you mean? As soon as the phone worm was connected, there was a gloomy and cold questioning voice from Sengoku. Not long ago, Sengoku received an urgent report from his subordinates. Vice Admiral, who departed from world government a few days ago, teamed up with Admiral Kizaru to deal with Ulquiorra. A shocking war broke out between the 2 sides, and the final result was that the kingdom of Benosta was reduced to ruins, the island it carried was even torn apart, and some of the island fragments were completely wiped out into the sea. The island of Nobesta became a fragmented archipelago. The result of the battle between the 2 sides ended with the death of the T-Dolphin, and Kizaru was seriously injured and disappeared without a trace. Advertisement. It is believed that it will not be long before this incident will make the world news and further shock the world. Marine dispatched an active Admiral Kizaru and an Admiral Reserve Vice Admiral T. Dolphin, but they couldn't beat Ulquiorra alone. One was even killed directly by Ulquiorra, and the other disappeared without a trace. And Marine's deterrence will also be greatly reduced and hit. This is a very terrifying thing. Countless underworld forces and big pirates will frantically plunder and commit crimes and endanger the world during this time when Marine's deterrent power is reduced. There's also a reason why Davy's men were able to kill Marine's men so decisively. They just traded not long ago, so they should have temporarily entered a truce period. What does the marshal mean? I don't seem to understand. Facing the questioning calls from Sangoku, Davy did not take the initiative to answer. The anxious person is Sangoku, not him. Didn't we just apologize to your country some time ago? Why are your troops attacking our Marine's branch base fortress? Your behavior has seriously affected the friendship we finally built up. Sangoku understood that Davy was pretending to be confused. He took a deep breath, suppressed his anger, and said, Davy, you must know that Marine was also forced to help during the Buster Call incident. Today's Marine can maintain its operations and maintain the peace of the whole world without the support of the world government. Advertisement, as naval headquarters under the world government, there are times when we cannot disobey its orders. Maintaining world peace and justice is inseparable from the support of the huge resources behind it. After a seemingly bitter speech, it seems that naval headquarters is actually the most innocent victim. In Davy's point of view, it was Sangoku's enemy who showed weakness, but it was temporarily soft. The purpose of Sangoku is just to suspend the hatred of the Christie Kingdom, give them all the information of the Christie Kingdom, and wait for the slaying blow that will be given to them. However, naval headquarters' emptiness and inconsistency, temporarily showing the enemy and subduing the weak, did not work at all in front of Davy's eyes. Still want to study Christie Kingdom, master their information? Today he summons the Espada Legion, and tomorrow he summons a horse warrior, Esdes. Summon a Deathwing, or the Black Dragon King of the fairy tale, and fly directly to the Holy Land Marijoy, and burn the ashes of the Celestial Dragons and the Five Elders. Did they infiltrate and obtain intelligence information from Christie Kingdom as fast as Davy became stronger? Chapter 56 Arrogance. We are absolutely invincible ahead. 4/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement. What's more, with the strength of Davy himself, although he has never played against Ulquiorra. But Davy knows that his strength will definitely crush Xiao Wu. The terrifying upgrade brought by the heart of the king is no joke at all. It's just that his rank was suppressed at the 5th rank, and he did not break through the 6th rank. Dare the naval headquarters wage an all-out war against Christie's kingdom? What to beat? How many admirals? Get a headshot. Screw them all off. Mr. Sangoku, everyone is an adult, let's forget this naive idea. Davy smiled dismissively. That's just what naval headquarters paid for the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and the many Marines, not to be confused with an apology. Those Marine branch base fortresses hindered my 4 legions from fighting in the quartet, now that they have done something to my subordinates. Do you still expect them not to fight back and issue a stern warning? Sangoku's idea is a good one, serving as a ransom and a bargaining chip for apology. Is there such a good thing in the world? Advertisement. Hearing this, Sangoku's face became even more ugly, and his tightly clenched fist even wrapped around armament hockey unconsciously. Then you shouldn't do anything to the countries that joined the world government, and destroy them. Even the islands are completely shattered. You have now completely entered the eyes of the world government and are classified as a dangerous level with revolutionaries, Sangoku said coldly. I remember, didn't naval headquarters have issued a similar wanted notice? Intimidate? Davy wasn't afraid at all, and the alarmism Sangoku said had no effect on him at all. Facing Davy's fearless attitude, Sangoku really felt aggrieved. Damn, Sangoku really wants to start a war of annihilation directly with naval headquarters. But naval headquarters can't do it. There are too many sea areas in the world that need to be guarded. If you want to annihilate the Christie Kingdom in one fell swoop, at least you need to gather that terrifying force from the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Then you shouldn't let Ulquiorra directly kill the T-Dolphin Vice Admiral, as well as Kizaru, who are now seriously injured and dying. Sangoku couldn't hold back his anger any longer, and roared with anger. The kingdoms of those great roots are secondary, and the most important thing is that naval headquarters lost an admiral force directly and permanently in this battle. There may even be 2. This is the hardest blow to Marine. This king doesn't seem to have asked them to rush to die, right? Seeing that Sangoku finally couldn't help but burst into anger, Davy's voice became indifferent. Advertisement. It was you Marine who insisted on obeying the orders of the world government to support and protect the so-called world government joined the kingdom. What's more, the 2 admirals can't beat the 4th Espada under the king's hand, so what's the point of humiliating them? Cold and proud. Domineering and ruthless. Davy showed the most vividness in front of Sangoku, and was not moved by Sangoku's words. In front of the phone bug. Sangoku heard Davy's chest heaving in anger. What the F***K is this called? It was he Sangoku who pushed Kizaru into the fire pit with his own hands. Davy said a word, and T-Dolphin and Paluzolino instantly became trash who couldn't win a 2-on-1 match. Davy, don't keep pushing yourself into the opposition of the world. These crazy actions you are doing now have angered many kingdoms. The serious consequences are unimaginable. Do you want to provoke a world war and become an enemy of the whole world? At this point, Sangoku's tone also brought a slightly different emotion. Since the establishment of the world government 800 years ago, there has never been a single war that affected the whole world. And now, there is a power state. That's Davy, and Davy is most likely the madman who started the world war. An enemy of the whole world? So why not? Advertisement. We are absolutely invincible in front of us. In the end, Davy said this sentence in a very overbearing way. If Aizen is here, there may be a sentence like this. It was really pretended by you. Single quote. Quote. Even Sangoku himself was stunned by the arrogant Davy, who couldn't say a word for a while, completely stunned. Madman. Davy, the end of you and your kingdom will be tragic. Finally, Sangoku doesn't want to talk to Davy anymore. It's useless to talk too much. One day, their naval headquarters will definitely break out a full-scale war with Christie Kingdom. After cursing angrily, Sangoku hung up the phone bug directly. Bang bang. Sangoku, who hung up the phone, was still furious, and subconsciously resorted to Conqueror's Haki in a fit of rage, which suddenly shattered the desk in front of him. Chapter 57 The Accusation of the Five Elders, The Wrath of Sangoku. 5/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Inside the marshal's office. The Crane Vice Admiral, who was standing on the side, witnessed all these discoveries and sighed silently in his heart. Up to now, it has developed to this point. The kingdom of Marine and Christie are truly on opposite sides. What are you going to do? Sangoku. Tsuruoka watched Sangoku's anger subside, and asked aloud. Hey, prepare for the negative impact of subsequent developments for the time being. We don't have time to deal with Christie Kingdom right now, and we can't start wars at will. Holding his forehead with an incomparable headache, Sangoku restrained Conqueror's Haki, and said in a heavy and somewhat helpless tone. Marine died and Admiral Reserve and active duty Admiral Kizaru was critically wounded and vanished. And it was the result of a 2-on-1 with the opponent, and Sangoku could imagine how the world would shake. Moreover, the accusation of dissatisfaction from the world government is probably coming soon, right? Sure enough, as soon as Sangoku had this thought, the phone bug that fell on the ground began to call out. Seeing the changing appearance of the phone bug, Sangoku's expression changed and he picked up the phone bug. I am Sangoku. Advertisement. Sangoku, what the hell are you doing? The last Buster Call incident had damaged Marine's prestige, and now it has been repeated, with the loss of not only an Admiral Reserve, but an active Admiral. It even reduces the prestige of the world government, and loses all face in front of the world. Even a world government member country can't protect it, so that the Benesta member country is destroyed and the island is destroyed. What are you going to do with this now? After the five elders reprimanded him in the face, Sengoku's face was horribly gloomy after hearing it all. If it wasn't for that shit celestial dragons going too far, would it have caused this unfinishable situation? He received gold from Christie Kingdom 9 times, but in the end he didn't give him the status of an affiliation country. 9 times in a row, the gold in the sky is completely avoided by others, so that the quality of the gold in the sky is getting worse and worse, and finally the national treasury is depleted. Thinking about it, it's fine to feed the pigs. I hope that St. Charles will leave quickly. Unexpectedly, the kingdom of Christie would not continue to pay tribute. Instead, St. Charles Rose became angry and started to attack others. This series of follow-up developments was finally triggered. Now instead they're blaming naval headquarters, who have been doing the dirty work for them all the time. Those who loved them died in vain, and they had to be scolded. If it weren't for the need to maintain the stability of the world, if conditions permit, Sengoku really wants to, or it's against the world government. Get rid of the control of the world government directly, and stand on your own. Unfortunately, Sengoku knew it was impossible, and it wasn't that easy either. Advertisement. World government and 5 elders are not as incompetent and simple as imagined. If not, can the world government be established for 800 years, and will it still exist in a stable manner? Don't worry about the 5 elders, I'll take care of it myself. Sengoku replied through gritted teeth. Better. Humph. The 5 elders on the other end of the phone bug snorted and hung up the phone bug. The 5 elders also understand Sengoku's current situation, but the necessary knocks are absolutely essential. You have to whip the dog under your feet from time to time, so that the dog will always be obedient, otherwise it will be difficult to control if it becomes a wolf dog. Send someone to give me a comprehensive search, and even if he dies, he will bring back Pulsolino's body. Sengoku didn't want to bother about the conquered kingdom seas and other things. Leave it to the world government for a headache. Anyway, the current naval headquarters does not have the strength to fight Christie Kingdom. Faced with a kingdom of terror that was equal to or even surpassed the concept of the 4 emperors, Marine's solution was to dormant and wait for the opportunity. And those conquered kingdom seas were covered by Davy's power. Maybe it will be a little more stable. Sengoku doesn't believe that with Davy's character, after conquering these kingdoms, he will not suppress the evil forces and consolidate his rule. On the other side, Christie Kingdom. Lying back on Rem's leg pillow, Davy of the facial cleanser opened the task panel interface. Advertisement. It was found that both tasks were almost completed. This made Davy look forward to it. Whether it's the little Hueco Mundo, or the 5th to 9th Blade Espada, these may be the power reserve powerhouses that will make his kingdom stronger. After a while, Davy stopped thinking about these questions, and chose to take a lunch break with Lemramam in his arms. And during Davy's lunch break, a news that shocked the world was published and spread all over the world. Impossible. Is it rumored that the T-Dolphin is not a candidate for the Marine Admiral Reserve? Ulquiorra can't beat Ulquiorra with the combined strength of the two Admiral Kizaru, and both of them were killed. Monster. Christie's kingdom is so scary. Not even two admirals can beat an Espada Corps, the fourth Espada. Is this guy really only the fourth? How scary is the top three? The fifth emperor at sea. No, this is a terrifying kingdom far beyond the four emperors. Ulquiorra, my idol. Chapter 58 Kaido of the Beast's Desire to Fight. 1/5 Ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. People all over the world were shocked beyond words by this news. In their opinion, based on Ulquiorra's strength alone, he is already a top powerhouse at the same level as the four emperors himself. And Ulquiorra is only the fourth place in the Espada Corps. It's hard to imagine what a terrifying force it will be when all the other Espadas who haven't shown up are dispatched. I am afraid that no four emperors' forces can match it, right? The war launched by Christie Kingdom also shocked people all over the world, and even many countries were frightened by Christie Kingdom. An indelible shadow covered the heads of many kings of the kingdom, and it would suddenly fall down at some point. I am afraid that one day my kingdom will become the conquering target of Christie Kingdom. Dressrosa. Sitting on the throne, Doflamingo seeped cold sweat on his forehead, watching the pictures and news in the newspaper. He was very fortunate that he didn't have any bad intentions towards Christie Kingdom, otherwise he would probably be noticed by the other party. Then the entire Don Quixote family should be wiped out. What a monster. Two admiral forces with fruit ability awakening can't defeat him. This man is really scary. Advertisement. Ulquiorra. Doflamingo wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, leaning against the throne, and fell into contemplation. He suddenly felt that the overall strength and high-end combat power of Christie Kingdom was much stronger than Beast's pirates. This reminded him of a question he had thought about a while ago. Do you want to change to another force to be your backer? But if he dared to do so, he would betray the Beast's pirates. Kaido will definitely send the big Kanban directly, or really hit Lu Pao to destroy him. If Doflamingo wants to realize his ambitions, a strong and very strong backstage is very important. Kaido of the Beasts always makes him feel a little unreliable, but the words of Christie Kingdom are now being watched by forces all over the world. It is not so easy to get close to the other party. More importantly, the sphere of influence of Christie Kingdom is only in the first half of the Grand Line, and there is no power at all in New World. Just when Doflamingo was thinking about whether to change partners. The Kaido of the Beasts he had just thought of was also talking about the Christie Kingdom at this time. Wano Kuni. Alalalalo. Interesting. The incarnation of Sin and the Demon King of Hell Kun. Ha 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 ha, it's really funny. Advertisement. This guy named Ulquiorra is also very interesting. If it was him, he should be able to kill me, right? Gulu gulu lulu. Hiccup. Inside the Ghost Island cave, Kaido of the Beasts, the firstborn with two horns and an incomparably burly body, was drinking while talking. Seeing his subordinates holding the World News newspaper spread out for him, he was aroused great interest. Even Marine's two admiral forces were unable to defeat the strong man who was counter-killed, which was exactly what he wanted. He's been very bored recently, and he's just looking for a top powerhouse to fight against and let him kill him. Unexpectedly, Ulquiorra's strength was so terrifying, Kaido instantly became interested in him. Yes, but Kaido boss, the kingdom of Ulquiorra and Christie is not in the New World, but in the first half of the Grand Line where the rookies are staying. Hearing that Kaido was thinking of a way to die again, his subordinate was speechless and couldn't help but remind him. Nani? What did you say? Kaido, who obviously didn't know this, widened his eyes when he heard what his subordinate said, and looked in disbelief. Such a powerful country actually exists in the first half of the Grand Line. Forget it, Laozi will go there himself. Kaido snorted coldly, poured half the gourd wine, stood up and shouted. Old boss, isn't this inappropriate? Yeah, boss Kaido, if you go to the first half, Marine will stop you. They don't worry about a four emperors entering the first half and doing things. And if you leave New World, some forces will take the opportunity to attack Wano Kuni. Advertisement. Quote. A group of subordinates tried their best to dissuade Kaido. Kaido was about to leave New World, and without his presence, I wonder how many powerful pirate groups would take the opportunity to do things. New World's competition for resources and territory is quite brutal. If several powerful pirate groups join forces to attack Wano Kuni while Kaido is no longer in the New World, it will be troublesome. Just a mere marine, how can you handle Laozi? Whoever dares to commit crimes, wait for me to return and send them all to the west. Kaido completely ignored the dissuasion of his subordinates, and Haki said incomparably. He is the four emperors Kaido of the Beasts. What kind of cat and dog dare to attack Wano Kuni, and when he comes back, he will directly destroy the opponent. His prestige is not by blowing out, but by actually playing out. What's more, with Jin and Quinn there, Kaido was very relieved. After all, Kaido walked out of the cave directly, transformed into a blue dragon, and flew towards the first half of the Grand Line. A group of subordinates looked at Kaido who flew away, helpless and speechless. It's really a headache to have such a powerful, yet willful boss on the stall. Chapter 59 Mission completed. There are espadas of Hueco Mundo. 2/5 Ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kaido, who flew away from Wano Kuni, did not know that a figure hidden on a certain mountain looked at the blue dragon walking away in the sky, thoughtfully. The figure stepped out from the shadow of the lush foliage of the giant tree. This person has long lush lake green hair, wears a ghost mask, and has two curved red ghost horns on his head. He was wearing a white and red kimono, with broken chains on his wrists and a mace in his hand. When he saw a newspaper on the ground, he lowered his body and picked it up, then looked at the news on it. This is. After a while, she showed a shocked expression, but she was hidden in the ghost face. A few days later, the 4 legions of the Kingdom of Christie conquered all the kingdoms within thousands of nautical miles. Davy, who was sitting on the throne, was suddenly shocked. The system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding. Congratulations on completing the mission. Your 4 legions have completed the consecutive missions. Your subordinates annihilated more than 32,000 Marines, annihilated a large number of King's soldiers, 1 Vice Admiral in the Admiral Reserve, 6 Vice Admiral, 14 Rear Admiral, and school-level officers. You have obtained 18,655 origin points. P.S. 2 Strong Low has no origin point. You completed the quest, The King's Summoner's Journey, The Majesty of the King, and received the quest reward. Advertisement. 110,000 origin points, Platinum Summoning Pool unlocked, small, Hueco Mundo. 2. Espada Core 5 to 9 blades, 5,000 origin points, Killing Sister Assassination Organization, Night Attack. Quote. Please pay attention to check the task rewards. Quote. Get rich instantly. After more than 2 months, Davy's task of summoning the characters and Foggle was finally completed. Nearly 20,000 origin points from annihilating the enemy, and 15,000 origin points for mission rewards. Davy's current origin points have directly broken through 40,000. Moreover, the Platinum Summoning Pool has been unlocked, and higher-level summoning characters and items can be summoned. After collecting all the quest rewards, Davy found that a small world appeared in his body consciousness. Davy raised his hand and swiped, the space was torn apart by him, and an empty door appeared, different from the dark space. Standing outside the door, he could see the desert land and the dark night inside. The thick spiritual particles spilled out from the inner world through the door of the virtual cavity, and the content of the spiritual particles was extremely high. Compared with the energy quality that exists in the pirate world, it is much higher. What's more interesting is that Davy actually felt the presence of a few not weak Reiatsu. Without thinking too much, Davy stepped directly into the virtual cavity. After walking for hundreds of steps, he passed through the door of the virtual cavity and stepped on the cold sand. Davy glanced around, and when he swept somewhere, on a flattened hill, there were several figures in white squatting or standing. Advertisement. The moment they saw Davy, several people disappeared in place, and the next moment they appeared in front of Davy. The 9th Espada, Araniero Erurueri. The 8th Espada, Zael Aporo Grants. 7th Espada, Zamari Ruro. 6th Espada, Grimjao Jagerjaquez. 5th Espada, Neutra Gilga. Meet your majesty the king. Interesting. Unexpectedly, after getting the small, Hueco Mundo, the Espada rewarded by these systems actually appeared directly in the small, Hueco Mundo. Get up. In the face of these guys, Davy said in a soft tone. Among these guys, only Jie Laolu and Lao Ba Lao were enough to watch. As for the remaining Zamari and Aronio, they are 2 dispensable existences. Because the strength of the 2 themselves is too weak, perhaps Zamari, who is known as the fastest in Espada, is a little better, but Aronio is really weak. Let Davy have no interest at all. With his eyes slightly closed, Davy of Observation Haki sensed the scope of the entire Hueco Mundo. When Observation Haki stretched to the ultimate, Davy used Reiatsu to combine with it and extend the scope again. After dozens of seconds. Advertisement. Davy already knows the size of the entire Hueco Mundo, which is roughly the size of the 3 Konoma Islands combined. Talk about small or not small, but if you want to talk about big, it is not too small or not. If I really want to say it, I just cough with one hand. Off topic. And one thing that surprised Davy a bit is that in the entire Hueco Mundo, although there is no vacancy of any level except for the Espadas. But Davy discovered that under the desert of Hueco Mundo, there is a lot of soul life breath, it seems to be bred the life of Hueco Mundo, virtual. Could it be that all the souls killed by Ulquiorra and the others were included in Hueco Mundo? After thinking for a moment, Davy felt more and more that his guess was correct. Otherwise, I don't know how to explain it. Where do these soul lives come from? You stay in Hueco Mundo, for now, waiting for those low-level virtuals who are about to be born to unite and control them and build a palace. After that, wait for my call at any time. After thinking about it, Davy immediately spoke to several Espadas. He didn't want this Hueco Mundo to be desolate and desolate all the time. The necessary construction is essential. Chapter 60 The Classic Healing Masterpiece. 3/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Yes, His Majesty the King. Several Espadas were wondering if they could not stay in Hueco Mundo, they wanted to get out and explore the colorful world. But since this was the first task assigned by His Majesty the King, they had no choice but to take orders. Grimjao, you come with me. Just as Davy opened the empty cavity again, stepped inside and was about to leave, he suddenly stopped and said. Yes, my king. Ha 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 ha, Laozi is free again. Zhe Laoliu's happy mouth grinned to the bottom of his ear, and his eyes turned provocatively and looked at the remaining Espadas. Then he took a pleasant pace, followed Davy's back, and left here. Only our wounded world is done. The clown is actually ourselves. Hold. Several Espadas were annoyed by Grimjow's squeak when he finally left. Don't let them find a chance, or this Grimjow must be taught a lesson. Especially the mantis boy Neutra, the fierceness in his eyes is a strong and visible madness. Advertisement. He subconsciously added a circle of lips with a sinister look in his eyes, and suddenly showed a sinister expression. Oh, the first void that was born turned out to be a Jillian class. Zael Aporo, who was beside him, suddenly showed a surprised expression. He pushed up his glasses. The corners of his mouth rose as the glasses reflected, showing a look of extreme interest. New research material, isn't it coming? After leaving the deserted and lonely little Hueco Mundo, and returning to the King's Council Hall, Davy sat on the throne again. Grimjow was honestly standing on the side below the throne steps. Remlum stood by the throne, serving Davy. At the same time, he looked curiously at Grimjow below. Is this the Espada army Espada summoned by King Samantha? It looks like Xiao Wu and the others are similar in appearance, with white clothes and a bone mask on their bodies. Okay, now it's time to summon the Night Raider. Davy raised his eyelids and whispered the call. Immediately after, a vortex door appeared, and 9 figures slowly walked out of the vortex. Akahito, Maine, Leone, Lubbock, Hill, Brand, Nazeta, Susano, Chelsea. Everyone in the night attack except Tasmi was there. Looking at these people, Davy can't help but sigh. This is a classic masterpiece that he once saw halfway through his youth and suddenly couldn't stand it. Advertisement. The degree of healing is far beyond ordinary people's imagination, and it is precisely because of the excessive healing that Davy gave up this part, but it was added later. Looking back now, it is still fresh in my memory. And the Taigu in this anime is also an extremely terrifying prop, and several of them have admiral level strength. One of the most representative is the Queen of Ice, Esdes. After the Supreme Emperor was defeated in the decisive battle of the imperial capital, Esdes fought against more than 10 emperors and an exaggerated and terrifying army of millions. Showing the unparalleled invincible strength in the world, but in the end, because he was too immersed in the battle, he was cut by the village reign of Chitong. In order to fight the curse poison, he could only cut his wrist and replace his right arm with an ice blade. In the end, Esdes was defeated by Akatsuki, who had learned the secret skills of Muramame. A generation of ice queens fell. If Davy summons the Queen of Ice, I am afraid that the Skeleton King will also bow his head in front of her. There is no way, although the Great Skull Emperor is powerful, he is extremely afraid of death, and is completely an unqualified king. After being subdued by Aizen, he only dared to slap him frequently, and didn't dare to do anything with him. He threw the axe at Aizen before he died, and ended his life with bitter curses and unwillingness to end his life. All the members of the night attack, allegiance to you, His Majesty the King. All the Night Raiders who walked out of the vortex knelt in front of Davy and performed the etiquette of allegiance. Get up. Looking at the faces below, Davy sighed slightly in his heart. What a good girl, almost all of them died in the end. Summoning them all now, Davy won't let them die again. Advertisement. Find an opportunity to strengthen them all. After all, the power of the Emperor is also quite strong. If the Emperor himself is strong, he will become stronger after urging the Emperor. In particular, Brand and Taigu are haunted by evil spirits. This Taigu slogan used to be the catchphrase of many second-year juniors. Nazeta, the Night Raid should be temporarily assigned to the Intelligence Department, and cooperate with the Ghost Corps to set up an assassination unit. After thinking about the existence concept of Night Raid, Davy softly arranged for Nazeta below. Yes, Your Majesty the King. Nazeta would naturally have no objection to Davy's arrangement, after all, they were originally in this line of work. Zhe Laoliu, who was watching all this, became a little interested in this group. Although these guys looked weak, he could always feel a little threat from them. It's just that Davy is still here, and he doesn't dare to be presumptuous. And Davy made arrangements for the Night Raiders, summoned a few ghost ninjas, took the Night Raiders away, and went to the claim department. Davy went straight into the universe. Platinum level summoning pool, here he comes. Chapter 61 The Skeleton King, Baragan Lusenbairn. 4/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. When Davy entered the cosmic starry sky, he found a shining platinum gold planet on the edge of the 3 vast planets of blue, silver and gold. Davy looked at the summoning pool of this platinum planet, and soon, the information of the platinum summoning pool emerged. Open black lens bracket platinum summoning pool close black lens bracket. Single summons, 5,000 origin points, 10 consecutive summons, 50,000 origin points. Introduction. This summoning pool can summon up to the 8th order creatures and items of the heavens and the world and below. I'm sorry. One summoning requires 5,000 origin points, so his sudden wealth of more than 40,000 origin points is not enough for 10 consecutive summons. Pig, we can't be so dark. Davy sighed and complained to the system with a sigh of relief and a heartache. I'm just a program, and the price of the origin point required for summoning is not set by me, please don't make it difficult for the system. A mechanical female voice responded. The Black Heart system has started this set again, and Davy is very contemptuous of it. But there is no way, since the system says so. What can we do? Davy opened the panel properties and checked his origin point. Origin point. 43,127. Gone. A full 7,000. System, can I take credit? Davy asked expectantly. Advertisement. Cannot. The system answered honestly. Davy was a little disappointed by this answer, but it doesn't matter if you can't get 10 consecutive platinum summons. Anyway, his current strength has undergone earth-shaking changes, and the overall strength of his subordinates is also extremely terrifying. For the time being, I'm not in a hurry to do 10 consecutive platinum summons. Just when Davy was about to speak for a platinum call, the system suddenly prompted. The owner can recycle useless items and useless skills. Yeah, why did I forget about this? Hearing this, Davy slapped his forehead speechlessly. Didn't he just let the system recycle the black bear fruit? It's just that it's been so long, and it's no wonder he's forgotten. Recalling this recycling function, Davy quickly checked his skills. After half an hour, an embarrassing word appeared on Davy's face. Because the skills of the Manos Grande that he repeatedly acquired have been integrated and enhanced, the same type of ability skills are directly integrated. Don't give him the chance to pick and choose for recycling at all. But in the end, Davy still recovered a lot of abilities and skills, and some useless things. Total recovery origin points. 9,350. Among them, Zanpakuto of the six-handled Espada contributed the most, contributing 8,400 origin points. It also made Davy feel a lot of heartache. These are the swords in his future king's treasure trove. Advertisement. But these Espada Zanpakuto are not available to anyone but himself and Espada himself. Therefore, Davy had to reluctantly recycle them all, leaving only the Zanpakuto of Xiaowu and Hannibal. After choosing to recycle, Davy's origin point is exactly 50,000 points. Davy, who has 52,477 origin points, temporarily forgot the heartache of losing the toy, and waved his hand directly and said, "Little pig, master wants to consume. Proceed. Platinum level 10 consecutive summons." Ding. You spent 50,000 origin points and made a 10 consecutive platinum summons. Ding. You performed a 10 consecutive platinum summons and obtained the following items. Ding. Congratulations on getting the cannon fodder virtual asterisk 50,000. Ding. Congratulations on getting Jillian 100. Ding. Congratulations on getting Devil Fruit Eudemon's White Dragon form. Ding. Congratulations on your celestial magic. Ding. Congratulations on obtaining the flesh and blood of otherworld gods. Ding. Congratulations on winning the second Espada, Baragan Lusenbairn, of the summoned character. Ding. Congratulations on getting the book of the Chinese Agricultural Knowledge Encyclopedia. Ding. Congratulations on getting, thank you for your patronage. Ding. Congratulations on getting the Rinnegan. Ding. Congratulations on getting the tailed beast 3 tails Isozuke. Quote. After 10 calls, Davy tutted twice. Advertisement. I'm not very satisfied with the result of this summon, but it's relatively good. Perhaps 50,000 cannon fodder and 100 Jillian Manos Grande, which Davy let go directly to attack naval headquarters, is definitely enough for Marine to drink a pot. Heavy losses are certain, but Marine is being honest for now, and Davy isn't interested in messing with them either. The white dragon fruit gave Davy a little bit of heartbeat. Transforming into a dragon, how many people wish to be fulfilled? But now for Davy, it can only be said to be dispensable. The same is true for Rinnegan, but the number of attack methods has increased. 3 tails can be used as a gatekeeper of the sea. The most speechless thing for Davy is, he is afraid that he will be targeted by the goddess of the other world again, because the summoning is impossible to buy, unless the origin point is swallowed. The reason for this is that he summoned the flesh and blood of the goddess. Davy is really a mouthful of old blood and almost spit it out. How can he have something to do with this woman every time he is summoned? Forget it, the boat will naturally straighten when it reaches the bridge. First summon the skeleton boy. Davy withdrew from the cosmic starry sky and returned to the throne again. He raised his hand and swiped, and a vortex door appeared. Immediately after, a burly old man walked out of it. Immediately afterward, a terrifying Reiatsu emerged without the slightest repression, rising into the sky in an instant, covering the entire palace. Chapter 62 Crushing the Skeleton. Toilet King. 5/5 ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The massive, fearsome Reiatsu gushed unchecked, and Baragan burst out with all of his Reiatsu in front of Davy. His terrifying Reiatsu enveloped the entire palace in an instant, and his one eye looked directly at Davy's face, and his eyes met him with no sign of weakness. And Grimjow was stunned when the one-time king of Hueco Mundo showed up. Under the dreadful Reiatsu of the other side, his body was stiff and he could hardly walk. He looked at Baragan with humiliation and resentment in his eyes. Presumptuous. That's when Davy got angry. A Baragan, who dared to be so arrogant in front of him, unscrupulously released all his Reiatsu, and it was the Reiatsu that enveloped the entire palace. This is undoubtedly a provocation and contempt for himself. As a summoning character, he should have a gesture of summoning a character. You can regenerate the word Baragan yourself, and you can also crush it with your backhand. Boom. The horror Reiatsu that surpassed Baragan several times broke out, and the Reiatsu that turned into substance instantly smashed Baragan's Reiatsu, saving ordinary people who almost died under the shroud of Baragan's sudden terrifying Reiatsu. Immediately afterwards, this terrifying Reiatsu rolled towards Baragan, suppressing him in place. This Reiatsu. Advertisement. At the moment of being enveloped by Davy's terrifying Reiatsu, Baragan's movements froze, and he was almost crushed, and his arrogant head was also crushed down. He was horrified to find out how similar this terrifying Reiatsu was to the damned man he used to be, and just as terrifyingly terrifying. Baragan, who allowed you to be so reckless in the palace? Bang. Davy's eyes were as cold as knives, and the pressure on his body increased again, and the king's deterrence and conqueror's haki came together. Facing the blending and crushing of these three terrifying auras, Baragan couldn't hold it any longer, and knelt down directly on the red carpet, cold sweat oozing out of his forehead. Your Majesty, convict, please punish His Majesty the King. At this moment, Baragan was convinced and pleaded for mercy. He just planned to test Davy, but he didn't expect that the opponent's power was far beyond his imagination. In front of His Majesty the King, he couldn't even bear the opponent's aura. Baragan confessed and chose to work for Davy seriously. The death penalty can be avoided, but the living crime can't be escaped. The public toilets in the royal capital will be handed over to you to clean them for 1 year. Davy snorted coldly and decided to punish Baragan's provocative and disrespectful behavior. Physical punishment is not worth mentioning for a character like Baragan. And punishing the other party for cleaning the dirty and smelly public toilet, this kind of punishment. Advertisement. Not to mention how disgusting he is, just look at Baragan's embarrassed expression now. Davy also knew that the characters he summoned would not betray him and belong to 100% permanent loyal ministers. It's just that in the face of the provocation and temptation of the still arrogant old king like Baragan, Davy will not allow the other party to continue to be presumptuous. He is not qualified enough to show this arrogant attitude in front of him. That's why Davy suppressed the arrogant skeleton of Baragan, who could be arrogant and contemptuous in front of outsiders, but only in the kingdom, in front of him. Baragan, as only one of the Espada. Not the king. Ram, take him to meet him. Remram, who had been by Davy's side from start to finish, had a look of admiration in his eyes, and Davy, who was looking at the big-haired Kamui, was dazed. Hearing Davy calling out to him, Remram both recovered immediately. Yeah, what about the king? Ram smiled sweetly at Davy. But when she walked down the steps of the throne, her face changed suddenly, and she said to Baragan with contempt. Come with me, Grandpa Second Espada. Looking at the two who left, Davy couldn't help but chuckle in his heart. The next day will be interesting. No one would know that a second Espada strongman of the Espada Corps would be reduced to cleaning public toilets. Advertisement. If Sangoku knew about this, I don't know how he would react or how he would feel. Immediately, his eyes fell on Grimjow's body, and he shook his head slightly when he saw that he was panting slightly and sweating from his forehead. It seems that Jay Laoliu is still a little weak, and if necessary, he can choose to strengthen him. It's just an object that needs to be beaten. Davy doesn't want Jay Laoliu in the original book to send experience to the protagonist. Act as an experienced baby's behavior. However, with the current strength of Jay Laoliu, if he burst out with all his strength, it is estimated that the Straw Hat Pirates can be directly destroyed by the group. Feeling that Davy's eyes were quietly falling on him, Grimjow secretly hated that he had just shown an ugly appearance in front of His Majesty the King. Being pinned down by Baragan made him blush. I made up my mind that I must practice hard, and find Baragan back in time. Recover your weak impression in front of the king. No longer paying attention to Jay Laoliu, Davy withdrew his gaze, and lazily clicked on the panel properties of Baragan who had already left. Chapter 63 The King of the Sky. White Dragon. Ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. After selecting it, Baragan's panel properties come into view. Open black lens bracket Baragan Lusenbairn close black lens bracket. Rank. Vasto Lord Higher Pinnacle. Races. Void, Arankar. Talent. Ko-Fuji Evolution Potential Exhaustion. Abilities. All Things Decay, Sero, Wangshu's Flash, Ringing. Weapon. Zanpakudo Skeleton King. Comprehensive Evaluation. The powerhouses of the heavens and the world who have just entered the 6th rank, the kings who can corrupt the years, but will eventually be killed by their own abilities. Are you entering the 6th order level? In this way, Aizen may be at the 6th order high-ranking level, at most 7th order. No matter how high it is, it may only be achieved after breaking through the realm of Shinigami and Shu. The final evaluation is very pertinent. The Skeleton Emperor was indeed killed by his own ability in the end. The breath of death he released touched Hachigen's right hand, and Hachigen bet that he would use his corroded right hand to use the Space Kido to send the severed hand into Baragan's body. Baragan was eventually overwhelmed by his own power and died. After closing Baragan's panel properties, Davy pulled out a white fruit with a silver halo from the warehouse. Advertisement. It is Devil Fruit, Eudemon's type White Dragon form. Open black lens bracket Devil Fruit Eudemon's White Dragon form close black lens bracket. Quality. Gold. Effect. After swallowing, the eater will have the ability to transform into a white dragon. Introduction. Boy, do you long for Jackie Chan. After thinking twice, Davy decided to eat the devil fruit for himself. With the opportunity to transform into a white dragon, why not eat it? If the ability is too poor, the shape of the white dragon is different from what I imagined, so I am not satisfied. The big deal is to choose to remove this ability and let the system recycle it. But before that, Davy decided to strengthen this devil fruit. System, can you improve and eliminate the side effects of this devil fruit? The system has said at the beginning that the origin point can also strengthen and improve summoned characters and summoned items. Therefore, before using it, Davy felt that it was necessary to upgrade and evolve this white dragon fruit. Maybe its fruit ability can be improved by 1 or 2 levels again. Ding. Do you need to spend 2000 origin points to evolve the Udemon's white dragon fruit? Ding. Do you want to consume 400 origin points to eliminate the side effects of devil fruit's ability? For Davy's inquiry, the system did not answer, but told Davy the feasibility with actions. You really are a profiteer. At this time, Davy had ample evidence to suspect that this dog system was a profiteer, and he took him to scour the wool. He now has only 2,477 origin points left. Advertisement. The origin points consumed by this wave of transforming devil fruit just left him with 77 origin points. It's straight back to before liberation, this is it. Yes, yes, yes. Said helplessly 3 times, Davy had already seen the profiteer nature of the system, and was too lazy to talk nonsense to her. He is now looking forward to how strong the strengthened white dragon fruit will be, hoping that he will not be disappointed. Ding. The white dragon fruit has successfully evolved. Ding. The side effects of the white dragon fruit have been eliminated. In less than a minute, the system's prompt sound will sound. With a little anticipation and nervousness, Davy clicked on the white dragon fruit that evolved and removed the side effects. The new white dragon fruit information suddenly appeared in front of him. In an instant, Davy's eyes burst into golden light. Worth it. Open black lens bracket devil fruit Udemon's white dragon form close black lens bracket. Quality. Platinum. Effect. After swallowing, the eater will have the ability to transform into a white dragon. Introducing King of the Sky. Kun is the absolute emperor facing the sky, the dragon of the dragon family. This is a devil fruit with god-level potential. ... Without the slightest hesitation, Davy peeled it and swallowed it. After eating the white dragon fruit, Davy closed his eyes and felt every ounce of change in his body. After a few minutes, advertisement. Davy opened his eyes suddenly, and a terrifying dragon force was released, sweeping the entire Konoma Island. All creatures shivered under the shroud of this terrifying dragon power, even the sea beasts overseas and the sea kings on the bottom of the sea were so frightened that they tucked their tails under the dragon power that went deep into the soul. He ran for his life towards the deeper seabed, for fear that the owner of this terrifying breath would come and eat them. Thump. When the dragon power swept past, Zhe Laoliu added his respect for Davy, so he knelt down smoothly. His eyes were full of desire for power. It's not that he didn't see the picture of Davy eating the white dragon fruit. A fruit that His Majesty took out at random can possess such terrifying power. If His Majesty the King will give him something someday. Starting from today, I am Zhe Lu. He is the most loyal Tim Leopard under His Majesty the King. Davy doesn't know Zhe Laoliu's change in his heart, he only knows that he has made a lot of money this time. Hold head high. Under the shocking gaze of Rem and Grimjow, white dragon scales and dragon horns appeared on Davy's body. Then he transformed into a dragon man. In the end, it transformed into a 100-meter-long white dragon, broke through the king's discussion hall, and rose into the sky. Chapter 64 Davy's Deterrence. Ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Davy, who was soaring into the sky, couldn't help his high mood, and couldn't help but let out a roar. Eng. An enthusiastic dragon roar resounded on Konoma Island, and everyone in Christie Kingdom looked up to the sky. What caught my eye was a white dragon that was more than 200 meters long. All the people who saw it showed shocking expressions. At the same time, the intelligence personnel of the major forces who sneaked into the Christie Kingdom also saw the white dragon in the sky. All of them were shocked and shocked. This is Kaido of the Beasts. Do not. Kaido is a blue dragon, but who is this white dragon in front of him? Soon, the white dragon in the sky solved their doubts. I am King Christie, and all my people obey me. The thieves who dare to disturb the kingdom will all be sentenced to death. The majestic voice of the white dragon spread all over the place. All Christie officials, soldiers, and citizens listened to this slightly familiar voice, and they put down what they were doing and hurriedly knelt down to worship. Immediately afterwards, they saw Davy in the sky, opening the dragon's mouth and condensing a mass of golden energy. A few seconds later, the energy condensation was completed, and a dragon breath that carried through the heavens and the earth blasted towards the distant sky. Bang bang. Advertisement. All the clouds and dark clouds in the sky were blasted away, showing 1,000 miles of clear sky. If there are strong eyes in the field, you can still see the bombarded position there. Not only the clouds and thunder clouds were blasted away, but even the space was blasted to pieces. And the intelligence personnel of various forces who witnessed all this, the spies were all stunned, and their eyes were about to bulge out. However, this sudden display of force still frightened many people. This is Christie Davy's red fruit warning. Don't make trouble. Otherwise, think carefully before making trouble, whether the force you represent can withstand this dragon's breath. At the same time, it is also in front of the citizens of Christie Kingdom, showing the terrible and powerful strength of this king. The characters summoned by Davy were also the first to see Davy take a shot. The bottom of my heart couldn't help but be shocked, but it quickly recovered. If His Majesty the King does not have invincible strength, how could it be possible to summon them from the heavens and the world? Even the dead can be resurrected and summoned. After warning the various foreign forces, Davy flew to a place dozens of nautical miles from the port. Three Tails Isofu was summoned from the system, and after explaining a few words, he returned to the palace. Falling from the hole in the dome, Davy slowly turned back into a human, and wore the clothes made of Reiatsu on his body. When he landed on the throne steps, he was already dressed. However, Rem blushed a little, because she just saw Davy with no clothes on her body, which made her feel extremely shy and panicked. Advertisement. Some pictures came to my mind again, and I couldn't help but expect something like that to happen in my heart. Give this to the Minister of Agriculture. Davy summoned Ninja and handed him a large volume of complete books. This book is the Chinese agricultural knowledge encyclopedia that Davy summoned. With these things, the agricultural aspects of Christie's kingdom will be turned upside down. Well fed and well slept, the national army is so powerful that even the naval headquarters can't do anything about them. Under the influence of these various factors, it is not time for the national happiness to go up. The national strength value has also been upgraded to 2 levels, and it is estimated that it will be in a few days. Finally, Davy pulled out the flesh and blood of the otherworldly god. A piece of flesh and blood like a gem, overflowing with gleaming light, and there is an incomparably terrifying divinity surrounding it. Davy could feel the terrifying power contained in this piece of flesh and blood, and any life that approached it would be plundered by it for the origin of life. It's just that when it was held in Davy's hands, it was extremely quiet, which made him feel a strange illusion. It seems that this piece of flesh and blood of the gods has a spiritual will. Damn it, it must be the flesh and blood of that goddess. Davy instantly understood the reason. It was because of the morbid love of the otherworldly goddess. After devouring the source of his summoning, he cut out a piece of flesh and blood from his body and gave it to himself, hoping that he could eat it. It's really F King turned into Thai. Advertisement. But having said that, Davy couldn't help but click on its message. Open black lens bracket flesh and blood of otherworldly gods close black lens bracket. Quality. Platinum. Effect. After the 10th order powerhouse is swallowed, he immediately breaks through to become a god. Introduction. This is a piece of flesh and blood from the main god of another world, full of love. Except for the designated person, this is a highly poisonous, love curse that can even be poisoned by the main god. ... Useless things. After giving this rating, Davy threw it back into the system space. For him now, it can be said to be useless. Stretching, Davy leaned on the throne and asked Rem beside him. Rem, do you want to go on a tour? Having been in this world for so long, Davy suddenly wanted to go out and travel to see the world. There are so many high-end combat powers in the kingdom now, and other forces do not dare to provoke him for the time being. So Davy decided to travel with Remlum. Chapter 65 Sabaody Archipelago. Ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sabaody Archipelago. Located in front of the Red Line in the middle of the Grand Line, near naval headquarters, the island is composed of many large trees from the deep seabed. The Sabaody Archipelago is formed. The ground is the root of the tree, and bubbles will emerge from the ground. The king, wait for us. Areas 40 to 49 are the tourist areas and specialty shops of Sabaody Archipelago. After more than 10 days, Davy accompanied Rem Ram and Ajay Laoliu who acted as a sand monk. Several people set out from the kingdom of Christie, traveled through countries, wonderful islands, and finally came to Sabaody Archipelago. This island is a major turning point in the plot of the original pirate world. Of course Davy came over to see and have some fun. After all, it can't be more, this place will completely fall into a lawless zone from now on, and it is still the nature of the whole island. Because 2 years later, naval headquarters was destroyed and will be re-established in New World. And because there is no marine stationed here, it will completely become a paradise for pirates and evil forces. Hoo-hoo, King, you're walking too fast, you didn't wait for Remrum. Remlum, who was holding a specialty snack in each hand, caught up with Davy panting, and then threw the specialty in the other hand directly to Grimjow. Completely ignoring the suffocated and angry appearance of the other party's blue veins. Advertisement. You two are too greedy. Dong dong. Davy slapped each other on the small heads of the two in a bad mood. Ah, it hurts, Remrum suddenly cried while covering his small head. Seeing the two little maids being taught by Davy, Grimjow laughed secretly in his heart. Tell the two of you to call me, this is all right, have you been beaten by His Majesty the King? It's just that he didn't realize that the two little maids didn't care about it at all, and instead stared at him with murderous eyes. The upright and innocent Grimjow had no idea that his inadvertent giggle was remembered by the two little maids. In the future, a pair of small shoes will definitely be indispensable to him. Hey, isn't it, how could there be a fool to provoke celestial dragons? Damn, get out of Sabaody Archipelago, Marine Admiral will be here soon. Damn the Straw Hat Pirates. I remember you. Quote. Suddenly, a large number of pirates appeared in front, and each pirate had a look of fear on his face. Run away in one direction with a group of Marines chasing them. Originally, as usual, there were illegal and legal areas on this island, and there would be no Marines' high-strength landing station. Advertisement. Unexpectedly, the Straw Hat Pirates came, and they made a big fuss at the auction, and even beat up celestial dragons. As a result, naturally, it directly attracted Marine's high-level combat power. Pacifist. Marine Vice Admiral. Marine Admiral, Kizaru Polsolino. Oh, Kizaru was really rescued. Hearing what the fleeing pirates said, Davy touched his chin and thought for a moment. This Polsolino is really dead, and the T-Dolphins all died under the hands of Xiao Wu. And Pelusolino relied on the ability of sparkling fruit to survive again. As expected of the 4 Emperors Admiral, he still has some life-saving skills. Go, grab someone and ask questions, Davy said to Grimjow. Yes. Grimjow gently put down what he was holding before disappearing in a flash. Under Davy's watch, Grimjow erupted like a turtle, but only for a few seconds. He had already grabbed a pirate's neck and returned, but the other party still looked like he was running away and didn't react at all. It's enough to see how fast Grimjow's speed is to everyone else. Advertisement. When he was caught by the neck and fell to the ground, he ran forward for more than 10 meters, and then he came back to his senses in a daze. This is me. Didn't he escape with his subordinates? Why did the pony disappear in a blink of an eye? Why did he appear in this place again? Hey, the bald guy in front, tell me what happened just now. At this moment, a lazy voice came from behind. Hearing this lazy, magnetic and young voice, the bald pirate captain was instantly furious, turned around and said angrily, Lousy is not a bald head, Lousy is the captain of the 1,000 Light Pirates, the big pirate who offers a reward of 300 million Baileys. Melotus. What stinky little bastard. However, when he turned around full of anger and wanted to scold the owner of the voice, he stuttered at the last words he was about to scold, and didn't dare to say a word again. Because, the person who appeared in front of him was the Demon King of Hell who had shocked the world many times over the past few months and set off a world storm Kun. Christy Davy. You are Christy 3, Davy. What's going on? Why does this monster appear here? He screamed in horror, and the whole person was stunned and slumped on the ground. Chapter 66 Kizaru, Pluden Rayleigh. 4th, ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Facing this man in front of him, what a big pirate with a bounty of 300 million Bailey, he is a fart. Being able to survive under the opponent's hands is enough to brag for a lifetime. Stop talking nonsense, and hurry up and answer His Majesty's question. Grimjow couldn't bear to see his ugly ink-stained appearance, so he dragged him over and scolded him fiercely. You are. Melotus obviously didn't know Grimjow, but when his eyes wandered, he saw the number on Grimjow's waist. The whole person was stunned, and then his face turned pale, pointing to Grimjow's trembling and terrified opening. You are the 6th Espada of the Espada Legion. Now people all over the world know that the Espada number of the Espada Corps of Christie Kingdom is engraved on a certain position on the body. And seeing the number 6 Espada number on Grimjow's waist, Melotus immediately guessed it. Humph, I didn't expect you, a bald man, to know this uncle, and your eyesight is good. Grimjow even recognized him at a glance when he saw the other side, who had not yet had a famous record in the world, and the corners of his mouth rose, and he couldn't help but sneer. However, he quickly reacted and punched Melotus directly on the head, say so much nonsense and kill you directly. Answer the question. It's true. The little one said, it's like this. Melotus, who was beaten with a big bag on his bare head, quickly agreed and started talking. Advertisement. A few minutes later, Davy, who received the detailed information, stroked his chin. According to what the other party said, it was similar to what happened in the original book. What surprised him was that Polsolino was still alive and not dead. More than half a month ago, Pelusolino was found by a large number of search and rescue personnel dispatched by Marine and brought back to Naval Headquarters for medical treatment. Now out of the hospital, and dispatched again to handle the Celestial Dragons incident. Davy can't help but laugh at his busy schedule. Polsolino sucks. Come on, go and say hello to Mr. Pelusolino. Since it happened to happen, you must go and say hello to the other party. Davy has never seen Marine Admiral in person until now. Let's lead the way, Davy said to the frightened bald Melordus. Yes. His Majesty the King. The latter hurriedly bowed and smiled and agreed. He breathed a sigh of relief and survived. Hey, someone is going to have bad luck. ... On the other side, Area 12. Advertisement. It's terrible, there are so many pirate supernovas. As always, with his mantra, Pelusolino landed on the Sabaody archipelago and began arresting and chasing all the supernovas. One bite is terrible, one kick is a supernova. After more than 10 days of cultivation, Polsolino has almost recovered from his injuries. As a result, as soon as he was discharged from the hospital, he encountered the Celestial Dragons incident again. Poor Solino always felt that Celestial Dragons was on his own, and every time it was mixed into an incident caused by Celestial Dragons, no good shit happened. In addition, the injury of the soul has not been relieved, and some lifespan was lost in the last war. At this time, Polsolino's temples were already Madara white, and when dealing with these supernovae, he used a lot of power to vent. The supernovas are naturally miserable, scolding Straw Hat crew for not being human. The supernovas, which were soon scattered, disappeared, and were hunted by the other pacifists and marines. And Pelusolino's target has also changed to the Straw Hat crew people. Everyone at Straw Hat Crew did their best to solve a pacifist PX-4. However, before they could rest for a few minutes after the battle, Zontaomaru jumped off the branch of a towering Alchiman mangrove tree with the pacifist PX-1. Desperate and tortured battles like the original, hopelessly crushing the situation. It's just that Pelusolino turned into a paddling admiral again, raised his right leg, and the golden flashes flickered, but he didn't fall down, shooting through and killing Zoro who was stepping on his feet. Boom. It was not until a figure appeared that Pelusolino fired the flash. Advertisement. It was just that the figure was extremely fast and came to him in an instant. Kicked the laser to the huge Alchiman mangrove tree in the distance, and exploded. One Piece's right wrist, Pluden Rayleigh. I didn't expect a monster like you to be on this island. Looking at the white-haired old man who came to him and rescued Zoro, Pelusolino raised his eyebrows and couldn't help sighing. This kid can't die here now, Mr. Marine. Rayleigh, who flew the Pelusolino laser flash with ease, chuckled lightly, but there was a dignified look in his eyes. Now that he is old and old, he does not have the strength of the peak period, and can have a 100% certainty to defeat a Marine admiral in his prime. Although the admiral was only recently discharged from the hospital with serious injuries. It's so lively, it seems that I came at the right time. Suddenly, a lazy and comfortable voice came from not far away, and everyone looked in the direction of the source of the voice. With just one glance, almost everyone present was horrified and shocked. Christy Davy. Chapter 67 The Demon King appears. 1/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Christy Davy. Everyone looked at the young man walking towards them and exclaimed in surprise. In these short months, the name of Christie's kingdom has been on the world news again and again. It refreshes people all over the world again and again, the powerful cognition of Christie Kingdom. And see the unscrupulous and crazy behavior of the other party. And as the lord of Christie Kingdom with the Espada Legion as the butcher, Christy Davy is an absolute demon king coon. Since the last time Davy incarnated as a white dragon to deter the kingdom, he warned the hidden intelligence personnel of various forces and spies. This scene was also recorded by intelligence personnel and passed on. As a result, people all over the world have deeply realized that Christy Davy is a veritable overlord with incomparably terrifying strength. The strength of the king himself is so terrifying, and it is no wonder that the espadas under his hands are also so terrifying. Davy, Pelusolino, who saw Christy Davy himself for the first time, was even more frightened and looked around in a cold sweat. It wasn't until he didn't see that guy that Pelusolino breathed a sigh of relief. If that monster followed Davy at any time, he would really have to run away the first time. Otherwise, I am afraid that the 593 party will be caught on the spot, and a war will break out again. But the end result may be that rescue at naval headquarters in the nearby waters is delayed and he is killed. Advertisement. Who is this guy? Why does Uncle Rayleigh and this Marine Admiral seem to be afraid of him? At this moment, Luffy, who was a stubborn one, suddenly asked Sanji who was beside him. Idiot. Don't you know Christy 3 Davy? Sanji was bewildered by Luffy's question, and asked loudly with a strange and shocked expression. The rest of the Straw Hat Pirates were the same, looking at Luffy who didn't know anything at the same time with extremely speechless eyes. Christy Kingdom, which has shocked the world several times in succession, this guy Luffy doesn't even know anything about it. How stupid is this? This idiot captain. Even Pelusolino and Rayleigh were shocked by Luffy's nerve-wracking, indifferent personality. So, the Straw Hats hurriedly began to popularize Luffy. However, after realizing that Davy appeared, even the Marine Admiral, Pelusolino, dared not act rashly. The Straw Hats immediately chose to run away. If they didn't run at this time, they might not have such a good chance later. Old man. Seeing everyone from the Straw Hat Pirates flee, Zontaomaru suddenly felt anxious. He hurriedly called to Pelusolino, asking him what he meant. 39. Pelusolino did not respond to Zontaomaru, but watched the Straw Hat Pirates fleeing silently. I'm not here to save you. If you want to chase, then chase it. Seeing Zontaomaru's anxious look, Davy smiled indifferently and said softly to Zontaomaru. For the Straw Hat Crew people, Davy really has no interest in targeting them, or getting to know them and making friends or something. Advertisement. Realm and status are different, and some of the thoughts in the past have also dissipated. Now that I see the deity, I just feel a little interesting. Walk. Hearing that Davy expressed his position so clearly, Zontaomaru was also unequivocal, and directly summoned the pacifists and marine subordinates to pursue the Straw Hat Pirates. Your Majesty, what is your purpose here? Facing Davy, the controller of the Espada Corps, Pelusolino did not dare to have the slightest contempt or carelessness. In this era of great sailing where force is supreme, without absolute strength, it is impossible to hold down the Espada Legion. Davy's strength is definitely the strongest existence. Even if Marine died, several Vice Admiral and tens of thousands of Marine were in the hands of Christy Kingdom. But the situation is stronger than others, and Pelusolino is facing Davy himself at this time, and his title Beef is also a respectful title. When the strength of a person or force is too strong, even far beyond oneself. Even if he is a mortal enemy, you can only maintain a complimenting attitude to him temporarily. Purpose. Is tourism a purpose? Davy smiled and took a bunch of takoyaki from Rem's hand, and ate one happily, showing a very beautiful smile. When people see it, they can't help but feel the heart-melting taste of his smile. Pelusolino and Rayleigh shared the same thoughts, but they woke up immediately. The person in front of you is the demon tyrant who makes the hearts of many kings of the world feel terrified. Kun, Demon King. It's really terrifying, and its appearance is so good that it's endangering the world level. On the surface, it is a warm face of he/she, but in fact it is an out-and-out violent Kun Demon King. Advertisement. I believe you are a ghost. Polsolino secretly complained that Davy himself, the king, actually appeared in the Sabaody archipelago. No matter how you looked at it, something was wrong. We have to notify naval headquarters immediately, notify Marshal Sangoku, and see how the Marshal formulates a plan to deal with Davy. Polsolino, who was deeply wary of Davy, quietly contacted naval headquarters. In this regard, Davy did not break him from beginning to end, but looked at him with a smile. After a while, Polsolino embarrassedly stopped this behavior and coughed a few times. Why don't you keep in touch? Seeing that Polsolino had stopped sending information to naval headquarters, Davy kindly reminded him. Cough cough. Polsolino coughed dryly again. Since you've got in touch, let me use it too. I just need to talk to Mr. Sangoku for something. Saying that, Davy stretched out his hand and rolled his palm, motioning for Polsolino to lend him the phone bug he was hiding. Forehead. Polsolino was stunned for a moment, so direct. This made him suddenly a little at a loss as to how to deal with it, should he leave it to Davy or not. Just when he was thinking, one person shot directly. Grimjow turned into an afterimage, flashing from Polsolino's eyes. The latter reacted instantly, turned into a flash and disappeared in place. But he was horrified to find that the phone bug he had hidden in his clothes was taken away by the extremely fast figure just now. Chapter 68. The Sangoku that was taken. Kaido is coming. 2/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. When the figure flashed by Davy's side, Polsolino could see the other side clearly. With water blue hair and sky blue pupils, and with a half-tooth white bone mask on his right cheek, he is still dressed in a familiar white robe. And the number 6 engraved on its waist. Another Espada. And the 6th Espada. Polsolino was shocked, and now even the 6th Espada has appeared, and the speed is so fast. Christie is already so strong now, will naval headquarters really be able to destroy them in the future? I'm afraid that with the passage of time, the strength of Christie Kingdom will continue to become stronger and stronger, more and more outrageous. Your Majesty the King. Grabbing the contact phone bug from Polsolino's body, Grimjow squatted respectfully, holding up the phone bug and handing it to Davy. This is probably not the most famous phone bug ever. Such an idea suddenly popped into his mind, and Davy felt a little amused, so he took the phone from Grimjow and praised him. Well done. 5. I would like to serve His Majesty the King. Grimjow responded enthusiastically with secret joy in his heart. Holding the contact phone bug, Davy jumped onto a tree trunk dozens of meters high, and looked into the distance. After sitting down, he said to the phone bug, Moses, Mr. Sangoku, I'm Davy. Davy, what did you do to Kizaru? Hearing Davy's voice again, Sangoku in naval headquarters stood up in an instant and asked nervously. The phone bug was suddenly taken by Davy. Could it be that something happened to Polsolino? Advertisement. Sangoku's heart sank at the thought of this terrifying possibility. Kizaru, don't worry, I'm not interested in a bad old man. Davy chuckled, not surprised at Sangoku's nervousness. After all, naval headquarters is feared by the Espadas. The slightest movement would make naval headquarters nervous, thinking he was trying to make something big that shocked the world. What's the matter with you, Davy? Every time Davy approached him, or he contacted Davy, nothing good was going to happen. It's no wonder he's in a good mood in the face of Davy contacting him again. You Marines, have you caught Roger's son, Ace? A fluttering sentence came out of the phone bug's mouth, and Sengoku's body jumped up again when he sat back on the chair. Bang! Sengoku slammed his fist on the new desk, frowned, and asked with an ugly face, how did you know that? Without denying Davy's question, Sengoku understood that since Davy knew the news, it was useless to lie to the other party. So Sengoku admitted it abruptly, and then asked another question. Blackbeard caught it. Hee. Davy, who is familiar with the plot, is preparing for a wave of Sengoku. By the way, let's make another round of Blackbeard, and see if he can shout that slogan again. What else do you know? What do you want to do? Sengoku didn't even know what went wrong. Not long after Ace was arrested, he was sent to the world government by Blackbeard. Not long after the news of Banaro Island was released, Davy directly explained everything to him. Advertisement. Tell him very bluntly, Marine's plan is known to me, and if you don't want to expose it in advance, then agree to the conditions I put forward. How about an additional viewing spot when Ace is executed? I can tell you a piece of information about Blackbeard. It is good. In the end, after much deliberation, Sengoku agreed to Davy's condition. Although Sengoku could see that Davy was definitely the one with bad intentions, Sengoku, after much deliberation, agreed. With Davy's character, he doesn't bother to play tricks at all. And this guy Blackbeard, Sengoku is even more certain, the other party is definitely not just to be Shichibukai. But in order to achieve a certain purpose, I will try my best to win the title of Shichibukai. Do this to accomplish your purpose. After a friendly chat, Davy said goodbye to Polsolino and Rayleigh with a smile. He left here with the three of Remram and Grimjow, heading in a certain direction. The most nervous big man is gone. The remaining Polsolino and Rayleigh looked at each other, and both turned away silently. There is no option to fight again, because it is no longer necessary. Christie Kingdom. High in the sky hundreds of nautical miles from Konoma Island. 100-meter-long phantom of the dragon appeared, watching the distance gradually change from a black dot to a clearly visible island. Kaido grinned. It's finally here. Christie Kingdom. Advertisement. Along the way, while flying and stopping to replenish stamina, they will be blocked by marine who do not know whether to live or die. After getting lost twice, I finally managed to find the location of Christie Kingdom. The battle he longed for was just around the corner. Kaido uttered a dragon roar excitedly, flicked his tail to accelerate faster, and couldn't wait to fly to the kingdom of Christie. A few minutes later, with a thunderous dragon roar, Kaido's huge body circled and flew over the kingdom of Christie. The Espada core of Christie Kingdom listened to Lousy, come and fight Lousy in the square. Roar. 39. In the face of Kaido's sudden provocation, Yi Rai and others changed their expressions in an instant, and quickly notified the whole country and sent troops to attack to maintain law and order. And they and others rushed towards the huge square in the capital. Now that the 4 legions have not returned, the security of the kingdom will temporarily depend on them to maintain it. The king went out to travel again, and they didn't want to wait for his majesty to return, and they did not make good defenses against the enemy, and let his majesty be disappointed with their abilities. On the square, Kaido fell from the sky and turned back into a tall, burly and sturdy human body, except that he was dressed up and tattooed with dragon horns and dragon scales, making him look like a devil. Huh, what are these guys? Landing on the square, Kaido saw several black monsters standing several dozen meters high, and asked. It was only after he stared at one of them for more than 10 seconds, he suddenly felt a wave of breath behind him. Sero. 100 meters behind Kaido, Jillian Manos Grande, who had already recognized Kaido as an enemy, condensed a scarlet Sero and shot straight to Kaido's back. Boom. Chapter 69A Sword Asura. The Emperor of the Toilet appears. 3/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The red Sero directly hit Kaido's back, Sero's energy exploded, burned at high temperature, and Kaido's burly figure was engulfed by Sero. The red light illuminated the entire square, reflecting a red world. The surrounding citizens did not have the mentality to watch the excitement at all. When the alarm bell rang, they all chose to take refuge and stayed away from this place. Cough cough. Choking me. In the smoke and dust, Kaido's voice sounded. I saw him covering his mouth and nose with one hand and coughing, while the other hand acted as a fan to blow away the smoke. After the smoke cleared, Kaido appeared intact. With a look of interest in his eyes, he hooked his fingers at Jillian, who was shooting Sero, and said provocatively. Is it you the monster who attacked Lousy? Go on, Lousy, 030, has not been in a hot spring for a long time. Instead of doing damage, Jillian's Sero attack piqued Kaido's interest. Kaido's voice fell, and Jillian Manos Grande, swaying his huge body, slowly approached him. The red Sero in his mouth condensed again, and he had to give Kaido a Sero salvo. Shout. It turns out to be a brainless beast, boring. 39. Seeing Jillian's dumbfounded reaction, Kaido suddenly lost interest. The burly body disappeared from the spot, and in a flash, it came to the top of Jillian's head, and punched it down. Die. Boom. Advertisement. Sero unleashes an explosion in Jillian's mouth closed by Kaido's punch. Thunder 8 trigrams. Kaido's burly body showed a terrifying speed of movement, and he waved the mace in his hand in a few flashes. After a while, he killed all the Jillians. Oh, it's still useful. After killing all 5 Jillian Manos Grande, Kaido raised his right arm, which had a burn area of tens of centimeters long. It was only after being continuously attacked that it broke the defense and suffered from the high temperature of Sero. It made Kaido want to get a few heads back to Wano-kuni, so he raised it himself. One sword Shura. 35. It was at this moment that a high-pitched roar came from above. A figure dressed in white armor and holding a steel halberd descended into the sky, slashing down with the halberd in his hand. Clang. Brand's halberd slashed heavily on Kaido's shoulder, but only made a crisp sound, and did not even cause any damage. What? The powerful halberd slash failed to cut through the skin of the enemy's body, and Brand secretly wondered what kind of monster it was. Immediately following the force, the halberd blade intertwined with the flesh and blood, bursting out the unpleasant sound of sparks and golden iron. Drink. The halberd fell from the shoulder and was cut off. Brand struggled to turn the halberd and stabbed forward, bursting out with all his strength, and Kaido's was really slashed. Advertisement. But that's all. Kaido flicked his arm and slapped Brand's halberd away. Brand squatted slightly to avoid the arm sweep. He waved the halberd in his hand and shouted violently. The ruby-like halberd blade turned into an afterimage. Brand burst out with all his strength, and instantly shot dozens of halberd shadows, constantly slashing and stabbing Kaido's body. Under the full blast, Brand created countless bloodstained wounds on Kaido's body, and finally the attack that accumulated all the attack speed force slashed out. Puff. In Kaido's stunned eyes, the halberd slashed, Kaido's chest was broken open, and the blood spurted out instantly. Kaido stepped back a few steps, blood pouring out of his front body. Brand knows that the enemy will be killed at one time, and he must not give the opponent a chance to buffer it. Dodging and sprinting in front of Kaido, the halberd stabbed hard, and its target was Kaido's eyes. Facing this blood-thick monster, Brand directly chose to attack its weakest point. It's just that when he got close to Kaido's body, he suddenly saw Kaido's grinning appearance, and he groaned in his heart, secretly saying that it was not good, and wanted to withdraw and leave. Unfortunately, it's late. Kaido swung the mace directly, and the thunder and lightning flashed, and the mace was aimed at Brand and smashed hard. Thunder 8 trigrams. Bang bang. PFF'd. Thunder 8 trigrams hit Brand directly, and even if Brand quickly slammed the halberd across his chest, he still couldn't resist this terrifying force. The halberd broke, and Brand vomited blood and flew out, hitting the ground heavily. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect a guy like you to exist in this kingdom. It's a pity that the power is too weak. Advertisement. Kaido, who had just been attacked by Brand at a very high speed, was completely stunned. As a result, the opponent fought for a long time, and at most he broke his skin and bleed a little. After recovering, Kaido turned on the Thunder 8 trigrams and sent Brand flying in seconds. Die, funny guy in armor. Kaido grinned and strode towards Brand. Only when he was about to approach Brand, a laser from out of nowhere hit the back of his head. Don't get close to him. On a clock tower not far away, Main Tsunere said, holding a romantic fork tegu in both hands. After that, the laser was fired again, and it kept bombarding Kaido's body. It's just that this level of attack is far from enough to cause damage to Kaido, looking at Kaido who ignores himself and slowly approaches the seriously injured Brand's Kaido. Main was in a hurry, this is His Majesty's country, and she can't release the most powerful laser. Because the power is too great, it will cause unimaginable and large-scale damage, the loss is incalculable, and even affect innocent citizens. The other Night Raid members went out to perform their missions, and the rest of Nagieta and Kai Tong in the kingdom also went to suppress those chess pieces of various forces who took the opportunity to make trouble and seek information. For a time, Main was in a tangle, not knowing what to do. It was at this moment that a burly figure came out of a public toilet. He was dressed as a cleaner and held a toilet cleaning broom and a bucket with a cloth hanging on it. And this burly figure was the one-year-old Baragan emperor who was punished by Davy for cleaning public toilets. Chapter 70 Baragan vs Qinglong Kaido. 4/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Baragan, who came out of the toilet just after cleaning, looked at the plaza destroyed in front of him. And Brand, who was seriously injured on the ground, frowned. I thought that he didn't need to take action for the movement just made, but I didn't expect that the Night Raider would be so useless, and he still hadn't solved the invading enemy. HMPH, back off. In the end, the old man still has to do it himself, a bunch of trash. Looking at Brand lying on the ground, Main on the bell tower in the distance, and the king's army, ninjas and nuts surrounding him from all directions. Baragan spoke directly and gave the order. Ha ha ha, where's Ulquiorra? Is Christie's kingdom empty? A dirty old man cleaning up to deal with lousy. Kaido burst out laughing. A cleaner who just came out of a public toilet, actually said to deal with him. He seemed to have heard great jokes and insults, but he also faintly felt that the old man in front of him seemed a little different. He just couldn't see it. But King Christie's army and the summoned characters recognized it. Because they belong to the summoning characters, all 18 have special spiritual link interaction ability. They felt a tremendous amount of power from Baragan. Advertisement. Main came to Brand's side, guarding Kaido with a romantic battery on her guard. Surrounded by her are the elite soldiers of the king's army, as well as ghost ninjas and Jillian Mano's grande cannon fodder. Can this old man do it? Main couldn't help asking Brand, who was receiving treatment. No problem, this lord is the strong Espada of the Espada Corps. After taking the recovery potion developed by Mars, Brand, who had basically recovered from his injuries, said with a smile. Main didn't know, but he knew the identity of the old man in front of him. Its identity is the second Espada of the Espada Corps, Baragan Luzenbairn. HMPH, I don't know how to respect the old and love the young, but he will die miserably. Baragan snorted coldly. Reiatsu emerged from his body, and burned the disgusting work clothes he was wearing, turning it into the white clothes of Zai Palace, and a huge axe appeared in his hand at the same time. Huh, little devil, who are you talking about, damn old man. 35. A maritime overlord who has been rampant in the New World for decades, the Emperor of the Sea who rules a sea area, is actually called a little ghost by an old man. Kaido couldn't hold it any longer. He shouted furiously with his mace, his body flashed, and he approached Baragan very fast, and swung out the mace in his hand. Thunder 8 trigrams. Boom. In the face of Kaido's sudden and ferocious attack, Baragan's eyes remained disdainful, and he also raised the giant axe in his hand to slash. Clang. An evenly matched blow. The giant axe and the mace slammed into a stalemate, bursting out fierce sparks. A terrifying momentum erupted from the fight between the two, and the air waves spread and surged out. Advertisement. This wave of air pressure made the soldiers of the king's army feel the horror of the two, and the momentum caused by the moment of the fight was already so amazing. It's hard to imagine how terrifying the true strength of these two will be. Hey, you can actually block my blow, it seems that you are a bit of a skill. Kaido grinned, having a preliminary recognition of Baragan's strength. However, as he said that, his movements kept going. He swung the 8 fasting mace in his hand again, purple lightning flashed, and smashed the Baragan with a smashing force. Compared to fighting, you still need to train for another 1,000 years, kid. Baragan is also not to be outdone, wielding a giant axe in his hand, colliding with Kaido's 8 fasting mace, and the normal strength of the two is almost equal. No one can do anything about it. The violent purple lightning is vented on the 8 fasts, and the Zanpakuto giant axe in Baragan's hand is staggered. An axe slashed Kaido's 8 fasts, Baragan's eyes were full of evil spirits, and an axe in his backhand slashed with extreme speed. Puff. The dense scars on Kaido's chest injured by Brand have disappeared, but Baragan's axe slash directly ripped open Kaido's physical defense. A wound more than 1 meter long and several inches deep appeared, and a lot of blood splattered. The damage of this blow caused Kaido to be traumatized, screaming out in pain. The fierceness in his eyes was stimulated, and Conqueror's haki suddenly showed, bursting with amazing momentum. Interesting. I approve of your strength. You deserve my best shot. The words fell. Kaido transformed into a blue dragon, flew into the sky, and a burst of heat breathed out, hitting Baragan with a terrifying aura of destruction. Sero. Baragan was unmoved, swung the giant axe in his hand, the blue Reiatsu condensed, and slashed out from the giant axe. Sero directly collided with the heat breath. With a loud bang, the clouds in the sky were blown away by the turbulent airflow. Kaido's blue dragon body fell from the sky, a whip of dragon tail swept out, and Baragan raised his axe to split it. Kaido's defense in the form of a blue dragon has been greatly improved, and Baragan's hard axe failed to break its defense, causing damage. Ha ha ha, are you helpless? Can your axe still hurt me now? Advertisement. Kaido saw that Baragan's axe could no longer hurt him, laughed proudly, and grabbed Baragan with the dragon claws with the barbed bracelet. The dragon's claws wrapped in the huge wind pressure were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it was in front of him, and Baragan squinted slightly. A dangerous aura also emerged from him, and at this moment, Baragan's Reiatsu suddenly erupted. The huge and terrifying Reiatsu spewed out, and fell heavily to cover the entire square. Kaido, who felt this terrifying force, immediately changed his face. The old man in front of him suddenly burst out with such terrifying coercion, which could even affect his actions and suppress him. Kaido is no longer reserved, and instantly opens Conqueror's haki, colliding with each other. Can't break your defenses? Just playing with the baby? Outburst Reiatsu's Baragan snorted coldly, and slashed Kaido's blue dragon body with a terrifying Reiatsu's axe. In just one click, a large amount of blood splashed, and Kaido's dragon back was split with a long wound by the giant axe. Ow! Damn! Kaido roared in pain, and one tail slammed towards Baragan, but was easily evaded by the latter using the swivel. Immediately after, several axes were cut out, and several wounds appeared on Kaido's dragon body again. Damn old man, you pissed me off. His strongest second form was suppressed and beaten by Baragan. Kaido was directly angry, and his body shrank sharply. After a few seconds, Kaido instantly transforms into his strongest dragon form. At this moment, Kaido got really angry and decided to kill Baragan in his strongest form. Chapter 71 Skeleton King vs Dragon Man Kaido, 5/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Kaido, who transformed into an orc, laughed angrily and pulled out a barrel of wine from nowhere. Gulu Gulu poured a whole barrel of wine into his stomach. He laughed happily, and after a while, he got drunk, and his feet staggered unsteadily. He slammed the Bajiji mace on the floor and stabilized his shaky body. Huh? Are you courting death? Actually getting drunk and weakening your combat effectiveness? Or do you think you need to weaken yourself so that I can fight you? Looking at Kaido, who had become a drunk after drinking a barrel of wine, Baragan asked in a very bad tone. Hiccup, ah, big idiot, I won't weaken my combat effectiveness just because I'm drunk. It's been a long time since I've met someone who can fight one-on-one with me who has the ability. 35. The Dragon Man Kaido laughed drunkenly. Although he said so, Baragan frowned when he looked like he was about to fall at any moment. Is there still such a child's play fighting person? Baragan, who has lived for thousands of years, can't help but be confused by Kaido's fighting style. While speechless, Baragan stopped talking nonsense, his body flashed, and came to Kaido's body. With a heavy axe, with a more powerful Reiatsu wrapped in it, it is bound to kill the arrogant guy Kaido with one axe. Dragon 8 trigrams. Although Baragan's speed is extremely fast, Kaido is not a vegetarian. He counterattacked in an instant, his body fell backwards, his hands clenched the 8 fasts, and he lifted it up, and black lightning appeared between the Conqueror's entanglement. Advertisement, Lun Lei Shanghu, Yin Na Luo, 35. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and with a bang, a thunderbolt was pulled down and smashed on the top of Baragan's head. Bang bang bang. The ground collapsed and shattered, and Baragan raised the giant axe in his hand to block the blow for himself, but the 8 fasting mace came down with the thunder. Kaido smashed down with a heavy stick, an unstoppable terrorist force erupted, the floor of the square under Baragan's feet shattered, and the ground collapsed. Taking this opportunity, Kaido twitched the dragon's tail suddenly, and the powerful dragon's tail directly swept Baragan out. Ooh, why do you only have this level? Tornado. Kaido changed into the form of a blue dragon again, his body flashed and flew, the dragon body circled and turned violently like a tornado. The dragon body with terrifying defensive power was spinning at high speed, and a gale hung up, and the Baragan was bounced off. It was obvious to the naked eye that Baragan was injured by these successive attacks, his body was torn apart, and there were several bloodstains on his body. But at the next moment, Baragan looked impatient, used the ring, and appeared above a tall building. He didn't care about these small injuries on his body at all, but Kaido's attitude and tone made him a little angry. Corrupt, Skeleton King. I saw Baragan lifted the Zanpakuto giant axe in his hand to his chest, dropped it vertically in the air, and recited the liberation language of returning to the blade. The red eyeball in the center of the huge double-headed axe blade suddenly released a scarlet light. A stream of purple smoke was released along with the red light, covering Baragan's figure. Advertisement. After a while, after the liberation, Baragan wears a multi-layered crown on his head, his face and body become skeleton-like, his feet wear upturned boots, his upper body and shoulders are covered with black flames, and he is wearing a purple robe. There is a long silver chain from the corner of the crown, similar to the death chain of the traditional European Shinigami image. After returning to the blade, Baragan's aura changed and became extremely terrifying, as if Shinigami had descended. People who are watching the battle here are all shocked. This whole body changes and changes. It is recognized that only the Espada of the Espada Corps will do. Only then did they realize that the old man was also a member of the Espada Corps. After the transformation, he still looks scary in the form of a skeleton, just like Shinigami from Hell. And it seems that the numbering level is not weak, and the strength is probably also extremely terrifying. Enough, it doesn't matter who you are or what power you have. Everything is equal in front of this old man, and you are also in front of this old man, go to pieces. Baragan raised the palm of his left hand and aimed it at Kaido in dragon form. Death sigh. A black-purple smoke that exudes the breath of death appeared and spread toward Kaido, and everything it passed was corroded and turned into fly ash. Seeing the horror of this black and purple smoke, Kaido is not an idiot. The earth that was corroded in just an instant is not an easy thing to look at. He hurriedly backed away to avoid contaminating himself. It's just that due to his slight hesitation at the beginning, the smoke of death's sigh spreads extremely fast, so that he has no time to dodge completely, and his left hand is instantly contaminated with the fog of death's sigh. Advertisement. How is this possible? It's not that the former Kaido has not encountered such a targeted ability, but they can only cause a little damage to themselves, and then they are restored by their own body and become stronger. But now encountering the corrosive poisonous mist released by the skeleton in front of him, Kaido found that his left hand was rapidly decaying from the fingertips. In the blink of an eye, half of his phalanx had been corroded away, leaving only white bones. Kaido was shocked. He hurriedly urged Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki to resist, but unexpected changes actually happened. Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki really resist this erosion. It's just that Kaido's face darkens soon after he finds out that the double Haki's resistance to the erosion of this good thing is too much consumption. In just a few seconds, he consumed 10% of his Haki. Kaido's eyes were full of fierce light. He opened his mouth to condense energy, spit out his breath, and burned those fingers directly. Damn skull, your ability is really disgusting. Kaido, who was avoiding the sigh of death, couldn't help but curse, thinking that he, a 4 emperors in terms of physique, would encounter such a disgusting guy. Just ask, what will happen next? Even Shinigami couldn't resist the death sigh for more than half a second, but let you resist for a full number of seconds. Interesting. Tell the old man your name, the old man will make you more miserable. Chapter 72. Full Outbreak Kaido. The Great Emperor's Terror, 6/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. As soon as Baragan's arrogant and domineering words opened his mouth, Kaido was instantly furious. Does this mean he thinks he's winning? How dare you say such arrogant words? Is this telling him not to kill the unknown? Humph. Lousy is the new world 4 emperors, Kaido of the beasts. Go to hell, don't forget to report to the king of hell. Kaido, who was being chased by the fog of death's sigh, turned his body and suddenly changed into the form of a blue dragon, swinging the dragon body frantically, rolling up a hurricane and thunder. It actually stirred the dark clouds in the sky, instigated strong winds, and directly met the fog of death's sighs, blowing it away, forming a gap for him to pass safely. Thunder 8 trigrams. After blasting an offensive line for himself, Kaido swung his dragon tail. His body suddenly accelerated and sprinted, and when he approached Baragan, he once again changed into a human beast dragon form. With the more powerful Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki attached to the 8 fasts, the 8 fasts whips up a monstrous thunder, driving an astonishing sense of oppression. The thunder and raging waves destroyed everything in the square, and Kaido, whose fighting spirit increased to madness, broke out with all his strength, shaking the world with every move, and pulling the thunder from the sky down. Smart strategy, but still not enough. 030, the axe of destruction. In the face of Kaido, whose fighting spirit had exploded with all his strength, Baragan gave him a rare admiration. Advertisement. Immediately after the skeleton's arm waved, a huge axe behind the blade appeared again, which he held tightly in his hand. Then, pulling the chain in his hand, he slashed the axe of destruction in his hand towards Kaido. The axe of destruction that contained all Ryotsu was unimaginable. The terrifying Ryotsu exploded in an instant, crushing Kaido's Thunder 8 trigrams offensive, slashing at his chest and abdomen, tearing a large wound. Kaido, who was severely wounded, showed a ferocious and mad face, and he resisted the blow with the strongest body in the world. Forcibly pulling back the terrifying force that flew out, his muscles bulged, and he held up the 8 fasts that he was holding tightly in his hand. The next moment, Kaido roared with laughter and savagely smashed the blow. Crazy guy. Baragan was taken aback by the opponent's madness, and dodged to avoid the full strength blow. It's just that Kaido has already locked his figure, and Bajai forced his backhand to move, BIFD. Boring farce, the old man has had enough. The Axe of Death, 99. Facing Kaido's tireless and frantic blows, Baragan had had enough. All the Ryotsu erupted in an instant, and the sea-like Ryotsu erupted, surging into the sky, and then fell heavily, slashing the axe of destruction in his hand. All Ryotsu's axe of death poured out the breath of death, and slashed directly on Kaido's 8 fasts. Click. See. The 8 fasts in Kaido's hand were cut into 2 ends, and Kaido's left hand was even cut off with most of the flesh, revealing most of the bones, and another deep wound appeared on his chest and abdomen, forming an X wound. Advertisement. Kaido's eyes turned white instantly, but his fighting consciousness was still not to be outdone. The dragon's tail swung out and flew Baragan's axe of destruction, then rolled up Baragan's body. Caught you, damn you. The golden brown pupils that were erected turned back, Kaido spit out blood and smiled hideously. The dragon-scaled right arm grabbed the remaining half of the mace and smashed it hard on Baragan's head. A monstrous thunder fell from the sky again, and at this moment, Kaido, who gave up all defenses, just wanted to decide the winner at this moment. The dark clouds in the sky dropped the strongest and most thunder ever, Conqueror's Haki Armament Haki and the thunder intertwined, forming a terrifying fusion blow. Bang bang bang. Rumbling rumbling. The violent explosion resounded through the sky, and half of the capital could hear the violent explosion and the mighty power that shook the ground. The surrounding houses and buildings were smashed and collapsed one after another under the influence of this terrifying power transmission. The shock wave of its instantaneous eruption swept in all directions, and the various forces who were watching the battle in the distance, the King Christie's army, and the summoning characters slapped their tongues. They were all standing so far away, and the powerful airwaves and wind pressure swept in from there actually made them feel a suffocating pressure. How terrifying is the strength of those two terrifying monsters fighting together. When the smoke and dust that had swept half of the square gradually dissipated, Baragan's skull was missing a piece of his face on half of his forehead. At this time, he was holding his left hand, and opened his palm to take Kaido's world-destroying blow with his bare hands. What? Seeing this, Kaido's complexion suddenly changed, and the full-strength blow delivered so close to the face actually only smashed the opponent's skull to one side. Advertisement. Is this guy really Shinigami? His strongest blow actually only broke the opponent's skull by half, and the opponent caught his full blow with his bare hands. Kaido was shocked and couldn't accept this fact for a while. Ha 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 ha. Almost, you shattered the old man's Ryotsu defense, funny kid. Baragan laughed out loud. He just liked to play tricks on people's hearts with a high-ranking attitude, watching the other party step by step toward the abyss of despair. Okay, it's time to end you. The old man is tired of playing, turn to ashes. Baragan is tired of fighting Kaido for so long. It took him so long to break his absolute Ryotsu defense. Although the opponent's physical body is also very strong, it is still not enough to face himself. Ryotsu and Zanpakuto, who touch the soul, are the strongest means of attack, and even more so when they face the fog of their own death sighs. Death sigh. The same as the face-to-face output, Baragan once again released the death sigh. This time the death sigh is faster and more powerful. Kaido's left hand was instantly stained by the fog of death sigh, which made him panic, and hurriedly pulled away from Baragan's range. In the process of pulling away, Kaido used the two-color Haki resistance again, and then opened his mouth and spit. The wind blade flew out, and without hesitation, his own forearm that was stained with the sigh of death instantly fell off. Chapter 73. Kaido escapes. Coming to the 9 snakes, 7/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ha ha ha, why struggle in front of this old man? Facing Kaido, who had consumed a lot of physical strength Haki, Baragan smiled proudly. Whether it is the soul of life, all things in the world of flowers, plants and trees, have their own years, and even the years can decay. The little devil who calls himself the 4 emperors at sea, welcome your demise and decay. Death sigh. With such strength, how dare you be called the emperor of the sea? Even his master, Davy, is now nothing more than the overlord king within these thousands of nautical miles, and he cannot be called the emperor. Ridiculous. The sigh of death swept and spread again. Although Kaido still had more than half of his stamina, he faced Baragan's almost unsolvable sigh of death. Kaido was really disgusted, extreme. He spent a lot of physical strength before Haki broke the opponent's absolute Ryotsu defense, and as a result, he had to deal with the death sigh mist that can rot the human body. In the case of face-to-face output, he is completely at a loss. Even if he burst out all the Haki to resist the fog, he could only last for a few tens of seconds, after which the Haki would be exhausted. But can he defeat and kill the skeleton emperor in front of him in just a few minutes? Kaido fell into contemplation, questioning his own strength for the first time. Finally, Kaido made a choice. Roar, damn old man, next time you fight, wait for me. Kaido, who transformed into a blue dragon, flew into the sky, roared unwillingly at Baragan, and did not forget to let out a wave of cruel words before leaving. Advertisement. After the words fell, Kaido flew away from here at a very fast speed. Humph. Is this a place where you can come and go when you want? I thought Kaido was going to fight again, but he didn't expect to run away so easily. Baragan snorted disdainfully, and then chased away. Only a square full of wreckage and ruins was left, and the surrounding houses and buildings were destroyed. What happened here was quickly conveyed back carefully by intelligence personnel and spies of various strengths. The world will usher in another big news that belongs to Christie Kingdom. The other side. A certain sea area calm belt, Amazon Lily. The daughter of 9 Snake Island is in China. The peaceful daughter country welcomes two rude guests. One is Luffy, who was sent to the daughter country by the protection of the violent Coon Bear. And the other person, Davy. After Davy caught up with the Straw Hats and his party, the Storm Coon Bears were all shot by the Straw Hats and sent to all over the world, a place suitable for them to cultivate and improve their strength. After that, after a friendly conversation between Davy and Kuro Coon Bear, a certain condition was reached that will be executed when necessary. Bao Kun Shang promised Davy to help him once and send him to his daughter country. At this time, facing the soldiers of the daughter country who surrounded him from all directions, Davy didn't feel the slightest nervousness, but looked at the 9 snake warriors with a smile on his face. Don't get me wrong, I'm not your enemy. Advertisement. Seeing that these female warriors of the 9 snakes were on guard and looked at him with a little curiosity, Davy said softly. As the leader, Margaret held a snake bow and asked with curiosity and alertness in her eyes. Who are you, an outsider? What is the purpose of coming to 9 Snake Island? And, are you really a man? The last question can be regarded as stunned when Davy was asked directly on the spot. Sister Paper, these words can't be said casually. Otherwise, it will make people think that you want to feel for yourself, whether he is a man's problem. But it's her fault. Davy knows the plot, and also knows that the girls in the daughter's country don't go out. Almost all the female warriors have never seen a man. I am naturally very curious about the handsome and stern Davy, not to mention that Davy has inexplicably added 999's charm because of the goddess. With this plus 999 charm and his already excellent appearance, he is the object of the love of girls all over the country in Christie Kingdom. Wrong. It is the object of admiration from the obscure and sensible female doll to the 90-year-old old woman. When I was traveling before, along the way, I encountered a lot of things that the princesses of the girl pirates, the great power of the kingdom, fell in love with him and made a big fight. Asterisk, however, when they learned about Davy's true terrifying identity, they all avoided Sasori, and all of them did not dare to approach. Contrast that with the handsome Luffy, who was carried by a group of female warriors to clean up and bathe, and then was pulled out of mushrooms. Davy's beauty and temperament, for the female warriors of the 9 snakes, is a devastating blow that goes straight to the heart. Favorability plus 60 when you meet directly. Of course I am a man. If you don't believe me, you can also experience it for yourself. Advertisement, however, this sentence Davy did not say, so it seems very vulgar. But you look better than me, are you really, a man? 35 Margaret said embarrassedly with a blushing face. 0. Yeah, we've never seen a man who looks so good to you, so much better than the kid next to him. It's great, it's the first time I've seen a man, can I give you a hug? Are you crazy? If you touch a man, you will get pregnant. 99. But wouldn't it be fun to have a baby with a man? Margaret's patrol teammates also started talking. There are even very bold female warriors who want to hug Davy and verify his identity as a man. See if it is the same as the handsome boy who passed out in a coma and is relatively short. It really made Davy speechless, and his expression became a little helpless. At this moment, a rather majestic old voice came. Go back. This man in front of you is not something you can touch at will. What, grandma? When the female warriors heard the words, they all looked towards the direction of the source of the sound, the short, white-haired figure holding a snake staff. It is the former queen of the daughter country. Chapter 74 Falling into the Queen's Bath, 8/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. King of Christie Kingdom, Your Excellency Davy, what's your business in Davy's kingdom? If there is, please also inform the old man to see if the old man can help you. The mother-in-law came over with a snake stick in her hand, and came over to Davy with a very respectful attitude. For Davy, who suddenly came to her daughter's country, her mother-in-law felt a burst of fear in her heart. The person in front of him was a super powerful person who was offered a reward of 3 billion Baileys by the world government and marine. King of Christie Kingdom, war madman who conquered dozens of kingdoms, overlord. I was landed on the island by such a demon king, Kun, and I don't know what purpose I came to visit. Why is my mother-in-law only worried and fearful? The other party has taken a fancy to the daughter's country and is here to conquer this country. With the terrifying strength shown by the other party, I don't need to take action myself, but only need to dispatch 1 or 2 espadas at the end of the number, and I am afraid that I will be able to conquer the daughter country. Why is my mother-in-law really afraid of this? 033. And she didn't even dare to speak out loud to Davy. For fear of angering each other, is something important? Just come to see the legendary daughter country and take a tour, Davy said with a kind smile. Look at the old man, believe it or not, of course, the most important thing is to meet the rumored, current emperor of the daughter country, the most beautiful woman in the world. Boa Hancock. Davy slowly said the real purpose of the trip. Really, this man has bad intentions. I know what my mother-in-law looks like. In terms of beauty, Snake G is the #1 person in the world, and any man will go crazy when he sees it. Even Christie 3 Davy, without the slightest exception? Advertisement. You are so charming, Snake Girl. The mother-in-law's mood is a little complicated at this time, and she can be targeted by Davy, a man called the Devil King Tyrannical Coon by the world. I don't know if this is the luck of the daughter country and the Snake Princess, or the disaster of the daughter country and the Snake Princess. Looking at the complex and worried expression on the other side, Davy smiled slightly and said, you don't have to show this expression to make fun of your mother-in-law. If I want to conquer this kingdom, I don't need to come here in person. Okay, Lord Davy. Since Davy himself said so, the mother-in-law also felt that it made some sense when she heard the words, and she no longer struggled. Decided to trust Davy once. Because if the other party really came with some kind of idea that was unfavorable to the daughter's country, then there is no need to waste words with her, a former emperor. For the sake of this, my mother-in-law also temporarily let go of her heart. Is that kid your subordinate, Granny yesterday, who was leading the way? Suddenly asked Davy. No, he has nothing to do with me. Davy shook his head lightly in denial, then raised the corner of his mouth again, revealing a mysterious smile. But he is a disciple of an old friend of yours. Old friend? Disciple? My mother-in-law was stunned. Davy didn't answer any further, and chatted with Margaret, who was following them. It is not difficult to see that Margaret, an excellent female warrior, has a great affection for him and always talks to him with a blushing face. After arriving at the palace, Grandma Yi frowned as she looked at the empty throne. Ask a maid warrior. Where is the snake princess? Lord Mother-in-law, Lord Snake Ji has gone to take a bath, the warrior maid replied respectfully. Hearing this, my mother-in-law felt helpless and just wanted to make arrangements for Davy. Davy took the lead and said, if that's the case, then I'll take a stroll around the scenery of daughter's country. After saying that, without waiting for her mother-in-law to say something, she turned and left. After Margaret nodded respectfully to her mother-in-law, she quickly followed Davy. Advertisement, hey, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Seeing the figure of Davy leaving, the mother-in-law sighed worriedly. Hey, Davy, why does mother-in-law seem to be afraid of you? Outside the palace, Margaret, who was walking alongside Davy, asked innocently and curiously. As the mother-in-law of the former daughter of the emperor, it is really strange that she is so afraid of a foreign man. Margaret held it back in her heart for a long time, but finally she couldn't hold back anymore. Haha, because I am on the sea outside, and I am also the lord of a country. Davy didn't explain too much for Margaret, who was a bit naive and romantic, and was vague in one sentence. After hearing this, Margaret really believed his words, thinking it was her mother-in-law's respect for another king. Then you must be very strong. For ordinary people, why don't my mother-in-law even look at it? Margaret said with a sweet smile. Is it strong? It's average, and it's the top 3 in the world. Really? Of course. Then are you number 3 or number 1 in the world? I am the 0th rank in the world. Just as the two were roaming the entire palace, a figure rushing in at a high speed rushed in front of them. Hey, huh? You're the guy on the Sabaody archipelago, 99. It was none other than Luffy, who escaped from prison. He wanted to say hello to Margaret, and by the way ask for the life card she took from him. What they didn't expect was that the man who happened to appear on the Sabaody archipelago before and created the opportunity for them to escape would appear in this place. Well, did you take something from my pants, Kabuto? Advertisement, can you please give it back to me? That thing is very important to me. After smiling and greeting Davy impolitely, Luffy pleaded with Margaret with a serious face. Huh? Aren't you in prison? Why are you here? Margaret was also surprised to see Luffy's appearance, but after a moment of hesitation, she took out the life card and returned it to Luffy. Just before Luffy could say thank you and explain, the pursuit team that followed Luffy all the way told her the answer. Stop, you escaped man. Get him back. Boom, boom. Boo, bang. The female warriors of the 9 snakes fired arrows wrapped around armament hockey towards Luffy one after another. The arrows wrapped around hockey were like small cannonballs, with astonishing power. Oops, run away. Seeing the group of women chasing after them again, Luffy was so frightened that he quickly pulled Davy and 5.3 Margaret from the roof of the complex, jumping and running away. However, soon, the quality of the roof of the daughter country seems to be a bit poor. After escaping for a while, when they jumped to a certain roof, the roof under their feet suddenly burst, and the 3 of them were about to fall. And it was at this time that a black shadow suddenly appeared, wrapped Luffy's whole body, and then directly threw Luffy hundreds of distances away. He fell heavily into an attic. Immediately afterwards, the 2 fell into the steam mist-filled bath below. In the hazy fog, a graceful and beautiful figure suddenly froze and turned to look at them. The look in the beautiful eyes gradually turned cold and became icy cold. Chapter 75 The Shock of the Empress, 9/10 for automatic subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The sudden rupture of the roof caused both of them to fall into it. Everything happened so fast that even Davy didn't react, and he and Margaret were dragged away by the idiot Luffy. And, as in the original book, he fell into the bath of the Empress, who was taking a bath. Davy, who knew the plot of the original book and the blood of the dog, instantly used the power of manipulating the shadows, wrapped up Luffy's whole body, and threw him hundreds of meters away. Hancock is a woman he has already taken a fancy to. How can others see it? Snake, Lord Snake Princess. Seeing that the person in the bath was actually Hancock, Margaret was taken aback. Hearing the movement from the bath, Hancock's 2 sisters who were guarding the door also broke in at the same time. Sister. What happened? 18. How can anyone else be here? Soon, Marigold and Sandersonia found the 2 who fell into the bath. They saw the coat of arms on my back. The Empress looked at the 2 of them, and said slowly to the 2 younger sisters with a chill in her eyes. While speaking, he put on a pajamas to cover his body. What? Hearing this, Marigold and Sandersonia were shocked. Did they actually see the mark of the dragon's hoof? If this matter is exposed and let the whole country know, I am afraid that they will once again become prisoners or slaves. Advertisement. Thinking of this possibility, the three sisters' eyes instantly revealed chilling killing intent. I plan to kill the two of them here to prevent the news from being exposed. Kill them all here, my elder sister. Yes, the matter of the seal must not be revealed. The two sisters spoke directly to Hancock. Hancock didn't say much, just put his hands in a heart-to-heart gesture. Marrow mellow. The pink heart-shaped light wave was released, hitting Davy and Margaret instantly. Margaret was so frightened that her face turned pale, but she soon discovered that she had not been turned into a stone statue. The three Hancock sisters also tilted their heads with question marks on their faces. How could it not be petrified? Impossible. The three sisters were shocked, and while Hancock's face was gloomy, he used marrow mellow again. But nothing happened to Davy and Margaret. Why wasn't it petrified? Even when you see the figure of the concubine bathing, you still don't have the slightest heart. 99. Seeing this result, she was stunned. Why didn't her marrow mellow work for them both? Don't the two people in front of them have no desire at all? But is this really the case? Advertisement, of course not. It's because of the special effect of the king's heart that Davy has. Even Margaret next to him was deliberately protected by Davy, which made him immune to Hancock's petrified light. How is this possible? Marigold and Sandersonia shouted out in shock. Is there really someone in this world who doesn't have a color heart? Lord Snake Princess, we didn't break in intentionally, please don't blame me. Also, this is Davy, the king of Christie's kingdom, and a guest of Granny. He's the head of a country who came to visit the daughter's country. Finding that she was not petrified, Margaret did not know why. But instead of thinking about it, she quickly explained the situation to Hancock, and then explained it again. However, when she uttered the word Davy, Hancock's pupils shrank and he was stunned. What did she hear? Christie Davy. In an instant, the event that shocked the world appeared in Hancock's mind. Christie 3, the new King Davy, beheading the celestial dragons Charles Ross and showing his body to the public. Sisters Marigold and Sandersonia recalled their reactions after hearing the name. First time meeting, my name is Christie Davy. Looking at Davy's self-introduction with a smile, the three sisters no longer acted as if they wanted to kill. Advertisement. It's confirmed, this is really the overbearing king who had just ascended the throne, wiped out the two countries and beheaded celestial dragons. He walked out of the bath and walked towards the door. When he passed Margaret, he glanced at her coldly. Then he looked at Davy again, and after a little silence entangled, he said, come with me. Not pursuing Davy's sudden intrusion into the bath, Hancock walked out of the bath with his 2033 sisters. After changing into a cheongsam, we headed to the palace hall. Luffy ran away again, but soon encountered her mother-in-law, was kicked down by her, and was thrown back into the prison by the female soldiers of the pursuit team. After a while, the three sisters of the Empress Hancock and her mother-in-law all came to the palace hall. Hancock sat on the serpent's body, which was coiled into a seat, staring straight at Davy with a complicated expression on his face. Is it true that you killed celestial dragons? Hancock still couldn't believe that other than the man he used to be, there were still people who dared to attack celestial dragons. Regardless of the danger of life, dare to challenge the sky. Just celestial dragons, kill is kill. Do you need any more evidence? Davy sat on a luxurious and precious armchair and said in a disdainful tone. In that case, Davy would choose to kill him even if there was no systematic mission. Who dies if Charles Ross doesn't die?